Hello and welcome to E3. Today we're looking at Sony's presentation of their new game. Take the stage, Jonno.
Was that enough explanation?
I don't even know if the mic picked it up. Basically, with this year's light novel, this winter light novel challenge has a theme. Everyone is a platform, and their light novel is a game announcement, and whoever has the most awards from all the journos at E3, they win. So yeah, go ahead, Jonno.
Alright. In transit. I knew that would get a joke, but that was like, what else can I go for? And I was like, transition? I was like, no, I can't do that.
I'm just thinking of the zombies, man.
Train. Every day the same train makes its way up and down the same short railway track between two stations lacking ticket gates. One day I found myself heading back along this line with both outgoing and return tickets still firmly in my pocket. I realised I could stay on the train, continually moving between the two stations, never handing in a ticket, and showing whichever ticket was relevant to any collector who may appear. I wondered why this thought tempted me to travel between 2 points, just for the sake of travelling rather than any sense of reaching a destination. To sit alone by a window watching the world pass by. Well, if the South English countryside can count as the world. Not that this journey revealed much of even that. Tunnels of trees and secretive shrubbery kept the train surrounded, obscuring any sense of the world behind a veil of autumn brown and gnarled wood.
Not green and brown.
You know that there's a specific journalist that will hate if you mention the colour green, so you can't get away with that.
Yeah, we had to do a bit of our testers didn't like it when it was green. So there wasn't even a view to keep me enthralled, no beauty to paralyse me, nothing beyond the confining walls of the meandering tracks. So what was it that wanted me to stay here? A feeling of cheating the system? I had only bought 2 tickets, yet here I was taking multiple journeys. For only £7, endless miles of travel lay before me. What is it we pay for when we buy a ticket? The experience of the journey, or the practicality of arriving at one station and leaving from another? After all, the ticket is what needed to pass through the stations rather than get on the train itself. But the thing that costs the company money is running the trains, powering and cleaning them. So perhaps my potential actions wouldn't be cheating the system, but simply getting the best deal for my money. The most amount of money spent on me in my journey for the actual amount that I myself spent. I inwardly chuckle and make a mental note of myself to use this later as some sort of example of the bizarrity of capitalism and the irrationality of following the rational economic thinking. Because surely this would be irrational. I have much better uses of my time than idling, than to sit stationary in constant motion with no destination, left with nothing but my thoughts. I remember many journeys, anxiety forcing me to hate the idea of arrival, and yet something wishing me forwards. A feeling of purpose without action, motion without emotion. That last phrase certainly sounded cool, but I don't think that really means anything. A thought that entered my head simply to fill the space. Existence simply to exist. Oh shit, I've gone pretentious and existential. This keeps on happening. Is it normal to ponder life when left alone, or is it just me? Surely most will open their phones, some meaningless mobile game, keep their mind ticking over. Press the screen to jump, to keep on running, always from right to left, swipe up, swipe down, swipe right. I never feel like taking out my phone, or if I do, I can't find anything to do. So whenever I'm travelling, I just sit there. At a loss, I take a quick look around the carriage. Today is an unusual time to travel, and the hour an unpopular one, so only a few people lurk between the seats, keeping their business to themselves. One whispers quietly into their phone, their words too light to overhear, more of an accompaniment to the deep hums and metallic moans of the train, rather than speech. Who would I see if I stayed on this train? What could I learn from these newspaper clippings of their lives that I'd gather from observing them here, a public prison and showroom? The regulars make their way to work or loved ones, those who make the odd trip. The train goes from nowhere to somewhere, making the minimal number of stops on the way, with rarely a handful making their way on each time. This is the furthest branch of the railway, and those on here must surely be beset by purpose, no meandering explorers, but determined commuters. I felt separate from them. I was simply drifting. True, I was headed homewards, as I'm sure many were too, but I felt no rush to do so. I still had a day to fill. I could fill it here. This could be the task I expand to consume my day. Something to do simply to be something to do. But I won't. As the train pulls into the station, it feels to stay would take energy. Every motion of life convinces me to rise and move onwards, caught up in the wave that drags me between the ocean and the shore, without energy to swim against the current. And so I arrived home. Car. This will be a long drive to a new life, or something like that. It's the same life, just a different place. Me, but elsewhere. The next step and all that stuff. I'm excited nonetheless, despite my cynicism and worry. The car lurches. I stiffen. The inescapable image of lacerated metal and ruptured flesh fills my head. I try to distract myself. Upon a crimson field, 2 large armies stand, facing off. Pillars made from metallic shields shine, blinding light across the way, to a force clad in nothing more than rags, armed simply with spears and bows. A war cry shakes the field, and a hail of arrows bounce off the shields of the metal army. A sickening clunk echoes as slits appear within the shield wall, before bristles extrude themselves, mechanical yet dead. Quiet reverberates around the field, before deafening thunder rips itself through the lines of the unfortunate, who fall in bloodless death in great number. Those that remain writhe in chaos, the braver fools charging whilst disordered masses flee. Once again the thunder is let loose, and any who charged are left behind in the mud. Behind the lines of soldiers, in armour adorned with pauldrons, proudly stands some higher official. Ha! She bellows. Fools! Led by a child! Next to her a small man, lightly draped in chainmail, stood. Actually, she's 6,000 years old, Officer Richter. I wouldn't dismiss her so easily. Then, I lose the trail of my own delusion. I'm back in the car, comfortably propped between the seat and the wall. White light burns itself into my eyes as I hastily open them, forcing an excessive amount of blinking. Eventually, my sight recovers and the world materializes around me, still discoloured from the sudden brightness, as though weirdly filtered. I'm at a loss now. Outside, fleets of cars drift along the motorway, their fast speed nullified by relativity. Damn, I'm a nerd. The radio drifts into my consciousness, some song that I don't really know, interjected by some interview with someone I don't really know. This keeps me distracted for the next few miles until I find myself once again drifting into fantasy. How about this time we try something sci-fi, a city so sprawling it reaches into the sky, sunlight a long-lost concept that barely caresses the top of the tallest buildings. As ever, the rulers of this place are some sort of dystopian controlling dictatorship. A recent idea of mine I wish to incorporate is the idea of a society where bullets are the currency, a city full of hitmen, where the only cost of a life is the very coin in which the world it turns. But who are our characters? 2 obvious pathways present themselves, a character stuck in the mundanity of simple life, trying to live as normally as the world will allow, where disaster strikes in the background. The counter to this is, of course, to pick some cool Hitman-esque character, immediately well involved within the world and its conflicts, perhaps himself on the precipice of some great scheme to reshape the world, whether aware of this or otherwise. Personally, I have a desire to start the tale of this world in a classic noir detective's office, where a man suddenly bursts in through the door. "Run," he simply mutters before collapsing on a cluttered desk in front of an empty chair. 5 minutes pass before our protagonist, female of course, walks from a side room. She sees the body. She pauses. Shit. Without warning, a mirror shatters above her head, but before the fragments clatter on the ground, she's gone, the door she just entered through fluttering in the sudden calm after a crescendo of electric tension. Mentally, I cut to a panicked quick shots of our protagonist rushing, undoubtedly leaping over some inexplicable banister or window as we make our way to a balcony that gives us our first view of this dilapidated metropolis. Oh, that's a bit of a tongue twister. Darkness and shadows beneath her is a sea of lights, following... No, let's pause and try again with words because they're not working anymore. Darkness and shadows. Beneath her is a sea of lights, flowing in some mesmerizing dance. Naturally, we have no time to linger on this. If a written description is needed, it should be interspaced with the detective's actions, more death-defying leaps before a dead end is reached. We focus on the panic on her face. A quick look behind her shoulder reveals now a silhouette standing still, jacket billowing in the wind. You've already cost more than you're worth, girl. Distaste drips from the last word. A stiff motion reveals a knife that appears as a flash against his silhouette. Just do the decent thing. Our main character... no, I've repeated this too much. I need a name. The first thing that comes to my mind is Danielle, shortened to Dan as gender normative names please me. Okay, so Dan, in a moment of madness, smiles before whistling loudly. I think you'll find only one of us has to go. Why don't you jump, Colin? Laughter barrages our hero. Fair enough. Sarcasm drips from every word. See you around. He takes a step towards. In an attempt to appear overly dramatic, he missteps, slipping over the balcony, falling over the balcony. Oh, I was getting tired by this point. Dan blinks. She was not expecting that. She turns, startled, before being confronted by her trusty cyberdog, Canine Marks. I like some of these ideas. It went a bit weird near the end. It attempted to whore itself for awards, but the visuals of this shadow with the glistening knife, the contrasts of light and dark. At this point I realised I've just made a weird interpretation of the Sin City world, except with less bullets and slightly more of a sci-fi vibe, only obtained through that random cyberdog. Still, this gives me the idea of a detective brought into their own mystery from obtaining some futuristic gadget obtained through some investigation. It's just something intrinsically cool about detectives. I guess it's the shroud of mystery and their desire for investigation that helps drive even a lazy narrative, such as my quick ones. I wonder how many people themselves want to be detectives, taken in by the underlying charm of the Sherlock series that seems to make its rounds around the population. Benedict Cumberbatch has done well for himself. He's managed to rise up from the obscurities of a Radio 4 comedy character into one of the most recognisable actors of this decade. His oxymoronic face managing to bridge the gap between handsome and otter is one of the more impressive feats of mankind.
This is like so good, right?
The end of my thoughts bring myself to my new destination and home for the next few months. Foot. The podcast ended and I have nothing else downloaded on my phone to replace it, not even music, so now I wander on in silence. Well, personal silence. Around me a myriad of people and cars screech and yell, the classic hustle and bustle of a city at a time when people need to be somewhere else. I amuse myself by quickening my pace, turning the journey into a challenge, darting in and out of the flow of the crowd. As ever now, in silence, I find my thoughts are filled with these new people. Wow, this sentence does not work. As ever now, in silence, I find my thoughts is filled with these new people I know, imagining what I'll say to them when I next see them. Trying to remember what small things were mentioned that I could later bring up to prove that I am a good person who can listen to stuff and, more importantly, remember things. Unfortunately, this comes up with no results and barely entertains, so I move on. My usual route is blocked by some new construction, so I fumble around until I find a road I recognise and follow that to my destination. I inwardly sigh, knowing undoubtedly that this will make me late, and I'll find myself bursting in, uncomfortably sweaty from the final sprint up all the stairs. Damn. Another train, but different. A longer journey, but this time I do not entertain the prospect to immediately return. This was my own destination, a journey the result of which... No, wait. This was my own decision, a journey the result of my own whims, a destination I want to reach. This time luck favours me and I find myself a seat, saving me from the embarrassment of blocking the path through with my bag. For the first few minutes I entertain myself with my phone, finding some excuse to try to start a messenger conversation with a friend, but soon I feel I'm bothering them more than being interesting, so stop. My eyes find the uncomfortable habit of resting on certain passengers, and I find myself swiftly closing my eyes or looking away in an attempt to avoid any awkwardness, though ultimately I imagine this backfires. I hope this doesn't creep anyone around me. I'm not trying, simply just trying to find something to look at. I'm worried how my feelings are rising for certain people I know. Though not immediately an issue, they risk eventually boiling into something more dangerous. And I don't know why they would. These people aren't what I'd normally consider my type, crude as concept that is. I struggle to pinpoint why these emotions start to stir, but I guess that's the point of them. Unfortunately, I doubt any of this is mutual, which will leave me in an awkward position of affection from afar. This reminds me of a recent short poem I discovered by an Islamic poet from the Golden Age of Islam, Rumi. I look it up on my phone to remind me of it. I choose to love you in silence, for in silence I find no rejection. I choose to love you in loneliness, for in loneliness no one owns you but me. I choose to adore you from a distance, for distance will shield me from pain. I choose to kiss you in the wind, for the wind is gentler than my lips. I choose to hold you in my dreams, for in my dreams you have no end. The ownage part of it makes me slightly uncomfortable, but the relevance of it all impresses me for such an old and different culture. The last bit raises an interesting idea I remember exploring once about how you can manipulate others' images in your own imagination, like some creepy puppet master, force them into whatever position or scenario you wish. I decided it felt wrong to use someone's images to do things they themselves would not wish to do, so I tried to prevent my mind from wandering beyond conversations of those I know in my head, much as my unfortunate human desires perhaps want more. I find myself often lost in conversations with people I know that remain in my head, to the point I worry I'll forget what I've said to the real person, and what I've shared with the construct of them in my head. I feel I should be getting close, but I'm not. I like to pride myself on distractions allowing me to quickly lose track of time, but right now it seems futile. Ideas hardly sticking, remaining stuck in the mundanity of the train. This will be a long trip. The car returns. This will be a long journey back to my old life. The same long journey, and the first time I've been in a car for perhaps 3 months. Between odd stabs of conversation with the driver, I lose myself in the medley of music. Anticipation of the return to normality, except by now normality has been replaced, and the old normality is something different. I wonder how this will shape things back home for the first time in forever. I shudder at the corniness of my own internal monologue. I'm surprised by how swift the return feels. Despite terrible conditions slowing the journey, this perhaps added to the excitement needed to entertain. Okay, no, that's not the right way around. Thus ironically quickening it. I open the door. The first train. Every day the same train makes its way up and down the same short railway track, beyond 2 stations lacking ticket gates. One day I found myself heading back along this line, with both outgoing and return tickets still firmly in my pocket. And that's the book.
Yeah, a very strong start. Thank you.
I just don't see why.
Sorry.
I just don't see why you take the train to Cookham when you can just take the road to Cookham. Fuck you, Harry.
It's only 3 days long.
Alright, I'm gonna stop it.
Let down. Ethan, do you want to introduce your presentation as Nintendo?
No thanks.
Alright, just get started then.
Alright.
What's the name of it?
It's called Passover. Chapter 1. The Doo-Dah-Doo Day. The ship travels eastward along a straight trajectory. It is noon now, and there aren't many hours left, not to mention the fact that we still have ways to go and deadlines to meet. The horizon seems to be ever-changing the closer we get to it, in the same way a rainbow always carries on, never-ending and forever in continuance. Although hopefully in the foreseeable future the horizon will alter. It will no longer be straight and completely horizontal. It will become rough and highly irregular, laced with intricate little details, with secrets and nuances that will never see the light of discovery, as opposed to a fine line that is obvious and easily absorbed. The private lets loose the sails and we gather speed. I can feel the impatience felt by all three of us, desperate to find something we can sink our feet into that isn't the blistering texture of cutthroat wood planks. I look over in the distance, over miles and miles across the azure skyline. Something emerges as if instantaneously drawn in and painted, consumed by colour and life. The apex of something, its peak. The peak slowly ascends into the sky and the rest of its body becomes more visible, more accessible to the naked eye. It reveals cone-shaped landforms, hills, mountains. I presume lakes, other bodies of waters, and somewhere in there an artefact or object with unspeakable priceless value. I should be able to tell that we have drawn closer. The water we sail through has modified its colour from blue to an orange tint. This tint apparently makes its way around the island. Within that are sandy beaches surrounding it, acting as a ring, a barrier between land and sea. A smooth plain glistening in the sunlight, reflecting its rays, giving it a golden aesthetic. The tree line is mysteriously attractive in a curious way, the trees a violent hue. Maybe that's to do with what's inside. Everything around it seems that much more pleasing, that much more entrancing. In fact, the entire body itself in question has it gives off something. It has a presence unlike anything I've ever encountered before, for a stationary object, that is. Our anchor plunges its roots into the ocean's feet. The ship comes to halt as it docks onto the ocean. All is quiet, all is silent. As we exit from the ship with a pistol aimed at our backs, a flock of birds escape the tree line's lips and dart over to another section of the landmass, out of sight, and therefore out of mind. We gather into a pair, Williams at our heels, and in anticipation of what might come ahead, afraid of what isn't in the open, leaving our sanctuary, our security. "Why have you stopped?" Williams says. "I don't know," the private says. We pause momentarily. "Then get to walking," Williams says, "and where I can see you." "We didn't expect any less from you," I say. "How far ahead?" "A couple of meters, no more, no less," he says. We begin marching into certain death. "Wait, where do you think you're going?" William asks. "We're doing what you told us to do, you idiot," I say. "The map. You're not about to tell me you've memorized all its contents, are you?" "I've spent the majority of my whole life in this place, boy. I know it. You can trust me on that," the private replies. I give him a look. He looks back with an unchanging expression, me unsure of how to decode it, how to extrapolate. "Give me the map then, just so I can hold you to your word," William says. "Well, if that's the case, then you might as well do the navigating. Otherwise it's a validated map versus my faltering memory." William sighs and grinds his teeth upon hearing these words. "I thought your memory was faultless, your words." "It is, but if you have the map, then you might as well be directing." He pauses. "He's got you there, Williams," I say. "Fine, your memory better serve you correctly, old man, otherwise you'll be facing the smart end of my gun," Williams states. "Sure. No one doubts your ability to kill other men," I tell to Williams. "You've shown your true colours." "Move!" he yells. I sigh. The private begins walking. We need to keep up the pace if we're going to make this We need to keep up the pace if we're going to make this our Galapagos, Williams says. I begin walking as well, following in the private's knowledgeable footsteps. We look for a clearing in the forest's thick entrance. Then we immediately take a rest to move, stretch and drink water from a nearby pool. The vines on the trees stretch across each other, creating a thorny web masking the forest's opening. As each tangles itself around trunks and branches, engulfing and surrounding, the roots of the trees dig themselves deep, embedding themselves windingly far in the ground, ensuring their own stability and strength, almost as if they are guardians protecting the precious nature of what's inside of it. That would explain how impervious the forest is to outsiders, anyone trying to taint and corrupt its insides. Over the mountain line the sun begins to set. It's strange how the atmosphere has shifted within the space of half an hour or so. It feels close to dusk, strangely, when until very recently we would have said it was midday. It's gradually disappearing, fading away, and darkness starts to crawl over us. As we disappear into the woods, I look back at the ship and notice how out of place it looks, like an oasis in a desert. It's perfectly possible that if all goes well we may return back here and this ship is no longer here. Not because it has been taken, but because this is a peculiar place. I never thought I would make it here. It seemed too far-fetched, too idyllic. A place like this surely can't exist, unless of course this is a natural place, with no supernatural events or mystical beings. But that can't be so. Like I said, it emanates something, a bizarre feeling, not to mention the strange colours, the orange sea and violent trees. It must be. We walk on. Something I notice as we wander, seemingly aimlessly, is the occasional tree we pass. They glow a crimson colour, and you feel drawn to it, similarly to how a moth is attracted to light. The private once had to make sure I didn't leave the path at one point. I almost feared. A river runs through, cutting this place in half, bisecting it. The river is shallow and glitters almost as if tiny fluorescent stars populate the water and transverse through it. I was thirsty and tried to drink from it once, but the private pulled me away, told me not to drink from this place, to only eat what we packed. As we journey to the centre of this place, it becomes more and more hazy and surreal and dreamlike. The gun finds its way nearer and nearer to our backs, teasing us, reminding us of our fate if we slip up. Snap pressed against me gently. I know Williams will dispose of me the first chance he gets, after he's exhausted me as a resource. The only thing I can hope for is Dan. Sweet, sweet Somalian Dan. We'll stop here for a bit, take another break to move, stretch, and drink water, Williams says, before sitting down. He throws to me the canister of water and I begin drinking, while the private starts stretching. You two sit opposite me together. The private sits down and me next to him. I sigh, as does he. How long now? Williams asks. The private takes a second to reply. A few hours, it's not long left. We stay on the path, we'll soon be at the cabin. And then how far down? A few 100 meters or so? I don't know, I never made it that far. That's okay. You get me there, I'll let you go. You, however, Charlotte, I'll need your services for a bit longer, if that's alright with you. I spit. My saliva lands inches away from his feet. I'm sorry I made it sound like it was up to you, Williams says. Don't worry, that was never in doubt, I say. There's a pause. So you've never seen what's down there? William ponders. I can't get inside, boy, you know that. Right. Do you think it exists? The private bites his lips. It's possible, he replies. I've been debating with myself what I'll go for. I'm between a few things, William says. You've got to go through the door first, I say. That's where you come in. If I succeed, and right now I'm seriously considering the opposite, just to deny you of what you want, Williams, I say. I'm sorry if I made it sound like it was up to you. Hang on. I spit again, this time reaching his shoe. He gets up and kicks me across the face. I groan at him, having been temporarily hurt. I raise myself back up. You pig, I say. He sits back down. You'll open that door, Charlotte. I'll make sure you do, William states. What do you plan to do with what's behind it? I keep meaning to ask. Of the three, the private says. William replies, well, riches, obviously. There's got to be one of them. What's the point of that? It's too much, the private says. What do you mean? Williams asks. The second you have too much money, the kind of person you are will lose it all instantly. Besides, you know how it works. It's deliberately designed to give you what you want ironically. Not if you ask correctly. How do you mean to ask? I want $1 billion to be placed in Eric Williams' private bank account. And where do you think it'll get that money from? The private says. It'll summon it out of thin air. Why not? It'll extract it from other people. Most likely every human will pay $1 billion equally to your account. Then, no doubt, someone will try and kill you because they found out you took their money. But it won't think of that, Williams says. Sure, not that, but the chances are if I can outwit you, then so can an object of undescribable intelligence. If it's not that, it'll be something else. I told you, you have to ask for something that only has one possible outcome that you can predict and foresee, and that's not possible. It'll outthink you every time. It'll indirectly fulfill what you want by giving what you do not want. Or it'll give you what you do want but at a price. This is the nature of the artifact. There's a pause. I think I can outthink it, Williams says. Didn't you hear what he just said? I shout. He's trying to trick me, scare me, put me off from going. It's not working, old man. Know that. What would you ask for then? I wouldn't ask, I would leave it alone, he says. It's not the sort of thing that should be trifled with or messed with. I can't tell you why it was put there or who put it there, but I can tell you that it doesn't like people interfering with it. Tell you what, give me another example of what you would ask for. I would ask for love? For someone? The private asks. Yes, someone who I used to know. Come on, Williams, are you a fool? Serves me right, I know the answer, of course, but as if the artifact would let you have love. This is the kind of thing that it takes away as soon as it can give in some cruel, unjust way. You'll get them back, but not for long. There's no time limit, it's not bounded by an infinite time period, you have to think about these things. I know, I do, just... I will think about the question, Williams says. Christ almighty, boy, you can't afford to act this naively. I can't stop you from asking for something, but the least I can do is actually plan in advance. Or did you not think you'd get this far? If you didn't have that gun, I I noticed you didn't. I noticed you didn't assume it was a her. Williams says. What can I say? I'm progressive. Also, I didn't assume their race, considering the fact that you're black. Williams, please, can you reconsider? The chances are we were beaten by Dan and his brigade already. Let them suffer in their detrimental path. We can still go. We can still head back away from this place. Save ourselves from the misery we'll have to endure. Why do you care? The only one who plans to use it is me, not you nor Charlotte. Therefore, I'm the only one who has the opportunity to lose, so why try and convince me of otherwise? Because I'm a sympathetic human being. You may have a gun aimed at our heads, and I know you won't hesitate when the time comes, but I do care. Maybe you'll let us go as well, if you feel like it. I hope Dan's already there. I say, why? Never mind, I respond. Pause. William's eyes open with fury, his gaze piercing my soul. It's not long now until we get there. Don't worry, you'll get your wish, a voice says. We all turn our heads simultaneously to the direction of the source of the voice. A murky shadow emerges. In his hand is a pistol. Fortunately for us, William's gun is aimed elsewhere, i.e. us. Drop the gun, Williams. The grown-ups are in charge now. Williams gulps heavily and he lets go, the gun hitting the ground with a thunderous smack. Good, now get up, all three of you, he says. Dan's waiting for you. Intermission.
Some sort of ASMR at the moment.
I like this Dan character.
Do you know what kind of voice he has? I'll get there. From one person to the next we remain the hostages, I think to myself. Although secretly I am happy with this. A direct line to the man himself. Hopefully Brian will be with them as well. Untouched, unharmed, I hope nonetheless, the Vietnamese man himself. The Native American man walks us through the forest and I can tell we are getting close to our final destination because the gradient decreases. There's a sudden decline in the level of the ground, sharp and uncomfortable. I know the artifact is in a trough, deep into the heart of the place. Night has fully taken over now, consuming the place in full, every nook and every cranny exposed for what it really is, the place where men go seeking hope, and all they find in the long term is misery. I'm not entirely sure what we're looking for myself. I know there's an artifact, I know of its function, but I don't know its origins or what it looks like in the flesh. I don't think even the private knows for a fact either, but he definitely does have his theories. When I was younger, I wanted to use it for my own personal gain. I had dreams, hopes, aspirations, things I wanted to do with my life. Unfortunately, I realised quite early on the misdirection with this. The lies underneath of it all. The private knows his stuff. He's taught me a lot over the years, the place and everything associated with it. I know it well, better than most. But then what if the private's been lying this entire time? It is possible, obviously. 5 years is a very long time. A lot can be fabricated in that period of time. I try not to think about it too much. It's not a pleasant thought. Oh, we're very close now. The plants around us are slowly closer to their deathbed as we approach. Every metre as we walk, every minute progression, the stench of death and demise becomes ever more present. How anyone could pass through here and think it could contain any happiness and satisfaction for anyone. It's too devoid of any content. But I guess that's what would happen. The moment that something like this could occur, people would silence their own caution and bring temptation into the spotlight. Their selfish desires amplified to the point that will only be on their. It'll be the only thing on their mind. What that must be like. I'm glad I'm better than this, and that I saw it for what it really is early on. We'll be there extremely soon, and what is there I do hope is what I've been told is there. What I don't like is when my expectations are subverted for the sake of being subverted. There's no point in doing this. If something works, then it should be used. What you don't do is lead someone along something they weren't expecting if there's no payoff. Stick to the rules, that's what they're there for. Don't subvert just for the hell of it. It serves no one and doesn't satisfy anyone. I see it. The entrance, a bronze door standing tall, built and ingrained into the cliffside of a mountain. The door itself is covered in a stunning netting of detail and imagery that sends the eyes into a state of utter awe. The door is comprised of two halves with a seal in centre and a steel dog. What I have been told is the dog of luck. It started out as one circle, then over time explorers have come along and added to it. It grew feet, then head, then ears, and now it's complete. It's a dog. You may think it's a wolf, but don't worry, it says above in italics, the dog of luck. We approach the group already huddled together with Dan in the middle, the leader of the pack. Next to him is Brian. I let out a sigh of relief and gasp. The man speaks. Hey Dan, look what I found for you. The group turn after having just finished their short break to move, stretch and drink water. Brian's eyes widen and a smile creeps across his face. He runs up to me and we kiss. It's been a while since I felt the warm touch of a man's lips on mine, let alone Brian's. That's enough! The man separates us and pushes Brian back to Dan's group. Ah, perfect timing. You're just who I've been looking for. Charlotte, Williams, the private. How are we on this fine evening? Dan says. Just took a turn for the worse, I say. How did you get here before us? We left Kingston before you did, and we didn't run into the Peruvian like I'm sure you did. Oh, we made quick work of him, Charlotte. He wasn't nearly as dangerous as they say. In answer to your question, I guess it was to do with cunning and slyness. We have always been much more intelligent than you three, that's for sure. You mean us too? I ask. Dan looks over to Williams with a look of utter disappointment. I suppose yes. Don't worry, Williams will get what comes to him, but right now, can we just appreciate we finally made it? It's taken us years to track this place down, and we're all here, like one big happy family, Dan exclaims. It only seems right that we should all be here. It started with the private Nye. It's only fitting we should be the ones involved in its ending. Whether the artifact exists or not, at least we can say we made it. Don't you agree, Jim? I look over to the private, with a look of shock on my face. His real name. Yes.
Sorry, just your version of Colin Rittman sounds like Patrick Ash.
It does.
It's quite good, I like it.
Sorry, what was that? No, sorry. Don't you agree, Jim? I look over to the private with a look of shock on my face. His real name. I wish I could, Dan, the private says. I wish I could. Dan lets out a bellowing of laughter. Well, that's enough chit-chat. Charlotte, if you could kindly do the honours, that's what you're here for. I begin to breathe heavily, wanting to put this off for as long as possible, praying the artifact doesn't exist, so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, but simultaneously wanting some sort of closure, some answer, some sign that all of these years searching for it have not been in vain. There is something through those doors a few hundred metres down. I walk over to the bronze doors, with a hint of hesitation in my step, completely engrossed by the brilliance of this door's creator. I am now mere centimetres away from the door, my breath coating the ice-cold material in a layer of condensation. I raise my hand up with one more sigh. I exhale and lay my palm flat on the surface. Mechanical gears wind, rotors spin. The door withdraws and the obstruction is no longer. Inside, a bleak, shadowy nothing illuminates the passage. A passage which has no concrete end for outsiders looking in. I take a step back, utterly petrified of what might be down there. It's open, William says. He begins walking, quicker towards the entrance. Not so fast, Dan yells. William stops walking and turns. Congratulations, Charlotte. You've done your duty. Are you done with me now? I ask. Not quite yet. See, there's one last thing I would like for you to do. It won't take long and your reward will be greater than anything you could possibly imagine. I want you to speak to the artifact. Pause. I am blown back in shock. I won't do it. I won't, I reply. Oh yes, you will. It'll take some motivating, but you'll be compliant in the end. Dan turns to Paul. He extracts the gun and shoots him in the stomach. Then he turns to the private and shoots him in the stomach also. I fall to my knees. No, I cry. I'm going to make you suffer, Dan. I'm going to make sure you'll pay. Paul and the private scream in agony as the thin red lines pour out of their body and begin making an ever-increasing pool of blood around them. There's only one way, Charlotte. You know this. Although unfortunately an ultimatum has been presented to you. You'll have to make a choice. If one of them heals, I know it exists. And that it works. So hurry, dear girl, otherwise my patience will wear thin and the next 2 bullets I fire will be aimed at their heads. I turn, looking back into the unlit abyss. I look at the ground knowing it is what I have to do. And take this little runt with you, Dan says, kicking Williams on the ground. He quickly stands up again and runs past me into the cavern, going out of sight. I take a moment and then enter myself. I look back behind me and can't see the night of day anymore. I veer in deeper, having not yet gone past Williams. I press my hand against the cavern's side, desperately clinging to its rough, scrawny edges through terror. I have to walk faster, I have to act quicker. They don't have much time. In my own head I debate who to save frantically, afraid of either consequence if I choose the other. Williams! I shout. Where are you? My voice carries through the cavern, passing through it in a wave-like form. My echo is heard. Charlotte, is that you? I hear. Of course it's me, who else could it possibly be? I respond. Will you wait up for me? I don't have a light. Neither do I, he replies. I sigh, I carry on. Suddenly in the distance I see a flame, lit, the first light I've seen in a while now. I utter a word of thanks immediately and move faster now, attracted to this source, overjoyed by it. I approach a small chamber, dome-shaped, lit by this single overhanging flame. In this chamber lies a large hole with a staircase moulded into its side, plunging merrily deeper. Williams, you down there? I yell. Charlotte! I see it. It's in front of me, he replies. Oh God. I take a moment when I make my way down the staircase, my vision once again leaving me as I feel the sides of the wall to give me the sense of direction I need. I reach the bottom. finding another corridor, and carry on through that. First, though, I take a short rest to move, stretch, and drink water before. Williams! I shout. I begin walking. I keep walking. Then, yeah.
I realise what you're going for now.
Do you not know
But
it?
do you know that was meant for real life?
What do you mean?
To take a short rest and drink water. And not in your script.
Oh my god! I thought that's what you wanted characters to do, so that's what I've done.
It feels like
He
I'm
deserves
just
to
being
win
like,
it anyway.
yeah. I feel like I'm just being what's the word?
No.
Just like programmed now to take a rest.
Program and control.
Oh.
Yeah, we've all had drink of water. Let's keep going.
I was wondering why no one was taking any breaks or drinking any water.
Did you guys think
I
that it
did.
was
I
something?
took breaks.
You,
I didn't-
you did not take frequent enough breaks.
For me, I just took like a massive break for the first 5 hours.
I took a break and went and got pizza.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
like-
that's true. Anyway, I'll continue. Williams! I shout. I keep walking. Then I see something in the distance, something spherical, something bright, something turquoise. I advance, entranced by this object, and I reach a small chamber. There in the centre of it, suspended in mid-air, is an object. The object. Beneath it stands Williams, looking above, his pupils an empty black hole, unable to look away. It's here, Charlotte. It's really here. Move closer to him. Williams, move away from it. Move away. I can, he says. I can. I look up at this object. What I've come to believe must be the artifact. Williams, come here. Don't touch it, whatever you do. How come you're allowed to, but I can? Because there are people's lives at stake here. Wait, I think to myself. I've been completely idiotic this entire time. Wait, Williams, you have to do it. Do what? He asks. Wish for the private to heal, please. Why would I do that? Because I scramble in my head for reasons, but under the pressure none come to mind. I thought you didn't want to use it anyway. The artifact gives and then it takes away. That's what you believe. That's what it does. I can't let them die. I can't. I have to try. Then go, because you're running out of time. I won't help you. You have to choose. William, now speaking almost in a trance-like hypnotic form. I approach the artifact, my pupils also enlarge. Williams disappears from my field of vision. I raise my right hand up and move it closer to the artifact. This must be nonsense, I think to myself. An object that grants wishes, how could I believe in such a thing? But it must be true, it has to be true. I place my hand on it, I speak silently. That's the end.
I think he's gonna wish for a break and some water.
That's so funny. This is the award you put the most effort into pandering to.
So Tony, did you like my diverse cast and my use of the word dog?
I love the way you just said different races.
It's because I was like rushed for time and I was just thinking, I really should work this into the dialogue somehow, but I'm just like, no, sweet Vietnamese Dan. And
You said you said he was Somalian.
oh yeah, sorry, no, Somalian Dan and Vietnamese Paul.
That's my accent. Hello. My voice is gonna kill.
This is Sega's presentation. They're back.
Yep. Thanks for sticking with Sega for so long, guys. I mean,
This time.
and it's out right now. Okay. On the farthest eastern boundary of the European continent,
What's it called, Harry?
the former Republic of Maidenhead, once the seat of an empire. The old Boyne Hill Cemetery is approached by a small girl in a brown coat. The girl is headed towards the grave in an impressively symmetrical fashion. When she reaches it, the girl looks up at the bronze face of the man that once was, the one who wrote the book that she carries to his grave. Under the bronze statue is a marble pillar with the inscription, "In memory of our national treasure." She looks up at the author and then glances down at his greatest novel. The cover is simple, only the colour silver. The only thing that can be seen is the title of the book, Reflections. She opens the book and begins to read. Prologue A. The Lighthouse. It's funny the things you remember. I don't know where I was flying to, or why I was on the plane, but I remember the tacky brown seats and the smoke-filled cabin. The smoke, first of the cigarettes, and then of the fire. I should never have survived that crash. They told me, son, you're special. You were born to do great things. You know what? They were right. I regained consciousness under the water. The flaming debris floating on the surface guided me upwards, towards the light. I don't think I'm dead though. At least I hope this isn't the afterlife. I swam for a couple of minutes. I didn't see anybody. The only thing I saw in the distance was the lighthouse. I crawled up onto the staircase and somehow managed to stand. I felt no pain, no shock, just the urge to keep on going, to explore the lighthouse. The golden doors are already open. The moment I walk in, the lights turn on. Looming above me is a golden statue of a man. Under the golden statue is a banner with the message, "No gods or kings, only man." The lighthouse had no way up, just two grand staircases leading me down into a futuristic looking pod. The golden lever was glowing, inviting itself to get pulled. Rapture awaits. Prologue B, on beginnings. Whenever I write an opening, I hold it up to Bioshock. Does it manage to grab you in the same way? Is it immediately action-packed whilst making the audience ask some key questions about what is to come? Does it subtly foreshadow the big twist within its opening seconds, whilst introducing the key themes of its grim dystopian setting? The answer is always no, so I just stole it. Yes, I stopped before it became too obvious. I didn't include Andrew Ryan's speech about rapture, or include the description of the beautiful dystopia, just before juxtaposing it with the grim reality of what rapture now is. I didn't exactly capture the feel of Bioshock's opening, because it's pretty much impossible to top. Yet, despite having one of the greatest openings in the history of video games, perhaps falling short of first spot to The Last of Us, Bioshock took me 8 years to finally finish. From the moment I first played the demo, which featured that opening, to the moment I finally beat that terrible boss earlier this year, 8 whole years passed. If it's the purpose of an opening is to grab you and not let go, Bioshock failed. It grabbed me for a couple of hours before pushing me away, forcing me to carry out fetch quests with slightly dated first-person shooter controls. So perhaps starting with Bioshock was a bad idea. Perhaps I've already wasted 470 words. No time to doubt, I must push on. If a comedian's first joke doesn't get a laugh, do they stop? No. They push on with their dogshit material until they finish, die, or are forced to quit. I wasn't even thinking that. Most books open with chapters that introduce the character, setting, and tone. Or perhaps I've done all those things without even knowing it. Anyway, I know you only brought this to read a follow-up to my masterpiece, The Right Honourable Sonic the Hedgehog, so here it is. You spent years asking for it, so here it is. Are you happy now? I'm just gonna have a sip of water. This isn't part of the book. I just wanna rest.
Stretch. You meant to do it as we were writing.
No, I'm interpreting the award as doing the reading. Chapter 1A, The Hedgehog. Amy Rose, following her divorce from Sonic the Hedgehog, decided to move on with her life. She spent so much of it in the shadow of her husband, who spent so long weaving out of the shadow of shadow that Joe got tired years ago. She still has a scar on her ankle from the shattered glass she dropped watching him race in the Olympics. She still had the memories of his recovery, his anger. She still had the memories of the good times too. God, the visual design of Sonic is good. Perhaps one of the greatest character designs in video game history. Sponsored by Sega. But the bad times stick out. All the politics, the running, Blair, Brown, blue balls, all of it. Amy had moved on. Ben Mutsky was a dog that went down the wrong path. Amy Rose had his case left on her desk. When she read it, she immediately took it to the DA. "Why are you taking this case, Amy? This is a surefire loss. The boy was seen ramming the knife into his father," inquired the DA. "I feel like I can do the boy justice," Amy smirked to the DA. Amy lay awake thinking about what she said. Could she really bring justice? "What's wrong, Amy?" said Kim Wexler, Amy's girlfriend. Kim had also left her toxic partner, and the two of them have been lesbian female lawyers ever since. "I keep thinking about if I'm good enough to be a lawyer. I see you in court, Kim. You're incredible. Succinct, persuasive. Amy, I'm not Aaron Burr. I'm just good at my job like you are." "But the case, Ben Mutsky was seen ramming the knife into his father." "Amy, I'm not juror number 8. I can't just pull a victory out of my ass. I don't know, Kim. You have a pretty sweet ass. Objection. Order in court. Kim laughs. Implied sex scene. The next day, Amy goes to work and meets Mutski. The boy is arrogant. He's boring and he's predictable. Amy will need some 12 Angry Men levels of bullshit to win this case. The day of the trial was approaching, and Amy was failing to make it work. Mutski was far from the dog from Call of Duty Ghosts. He lacked any of the honour or the hair textures, but he was going to die at the end unless she came up with something special. Plus, Jim Carrey's son had put a curse on her, preventing her from lying in court. She'd have to win the case without lying. Plus, when she went to see Mutski's captain at the army, he talked about getting a blowjob from a superior officer before saying, "I just want to have a good time, baby," and doing a classic Jack Nicholson wink. It would take some Aaron Sorkin levels of dialogue to talk her way out of this. It was the final day of the trial. The other side had beaten Amy every day. Johnny Cochran baited her into trying on a glove. Ever since then, the jury's been out. Although, if every courtroom drama is anything to go by, Amy could find the crucial piece of evidence that would help her client out. There was only one group that could help her. "Yes, we can help," said the voice on the phone. "What are you doing, Amy?" asked Kim, wondering why her fiancé was on the phone in the middle of her defence. The fat fucking lady is sung. Suddenly, into the room burst the jacked lawyers carrying a white Bronco, carrying a blood-stained knife. "This is the real knife, I think you'll find," Amy declared. The jury find Mutski, not Mitski, innocent, and the case is over. And everything is happy.
Really quickly, is Mutski the guy from the police sergeant from The Godfather? Is that his name?
No, it's Plutsky.
Oh.
Mutski's a Sonic character who's a dog.
Right.
Everything is happy. Meanwhile, oh no, said the existence of Knuckles. Just have a little sip of water. I'll say that.
Stretch it
Chapter.
So that means I've got to do it in like the reward show.
None of you are getting that award.
Chapter 1b on politics. When asked to write a follow-up to my Sonic book, I declined. Why keep rehashing the same idea? I'm not Marvel. It took a while before I came up with the idea for the Hedgehog, and eventually started it. Of course, as you just saw, it doesn't have a proper ending. I'm not very good at endings. The reason I could never follow up Right Honourable is because of my relationship with politics. For all my snide comments about Ben Shapiro and dirty centrists, I'm not too overtly political. My book was a great summary of where I was at the time. Do I still agree with it? I don't know. I've simultaneously grown disillusioned with politics whilst more engaged. If asked to justify my beliefs, I wouldn't be successful in getting them across, yet I believed them with a passion. I didn't want to reboot the universe of Right Honourable, but being published by Sega, I still had the Sonic license. I chose to tell a parallel story. Whilst the emotional focused on the politics, I tried to lead with the emotion. I tried to leave politics out of video games for my Sonic book. But in doing so, is it not political? Being apolitical is a political choice, as George Orwell said. Of course, he worded it better than that, but you get the idea. Art should be political. Art is political. In trying to avoid the politics of the original book, I have inadvertently created something far more sinister, far more political. The decision of Amy Rose and me when writing the book was a mistake. I shouldn't have tried to be apolitical. Now, reflecting upon my attempt at a sequel, I know why it failed. Perhaps if I had more time I could try again. To quote Colin Rittman, "Wrong path, mate." The story is both apolitical and about the criminal justice system. I do feel guilty that such a lazy sequel was the reason that so many are going to buy Reflections, and for that, I'm sorry.
A drink of water.
You're banned from drinking water, all of you. You have to die.
Chapter 2a, The Island. Diary entry, 2nd of the 4th, 13. I awaken a place I don't know. The sand that surrounds me gives me an idea. I'm shipwrecked, but I don't remember the ship. I don't remember anything, but I know what needs to be done. I've seen Castaway with Tom Hanks. Time to build a shelter. Diary entry, 6th of the 4th, 13. The island is bigger than I thought. What paper I'm not using to make this diary I'm using to chart a map. There is life here. Animals for food, and something else. I dare not to go out at night. I hear noises that keep me up. My shelter is just some wooden planks built into a natural rock. I need to explore more, or I'll be stuck here. Diary entry, 18th of the 4th, 13. My 16th day here was a success. I managed to start a small farm with the seeds that I found last week. The food isn't nice, but I don't know how many animals would be on this island. My attempts to chart a map are feeble. The island is too big to explore and full without braving the night. They seem to dislike the sun. It's the only thing keeping me from them. My food is looking good, and the ground is rich in coal ore to keep my shelter light. Diary entry, 27 or 28th of the 4th 13. The last few days have not gone well. Something must have happened. The creatures are evolving. The piles of flesh and bones that once were common are appearing less and less. I even saw one of them out, its flesh green, almost scaly. The creature made no noise. It simply silently stalked the land. I must investigate further. Diary entry, sometime in May. My plan worked. By building myself a shelter higher in the mountain, I was able to safely scout ahead. I've seen the faces of the creatures that stalked me, and I'm starting to learn their patterns. I recognise the spiders from where I was before, but they're larger here. Some of the creatures survived beyond the sunlight. I still haven't seen them die. Diary entry, August.
It is Minecraft, isn't it?
My farm's no longer producing food. This is my last piece of paper. I hear explosions. They've come to rescue me. I see you soon. Diary entry, 9th of the 9th, 13. Okay, a lot has happened. The explosions aren't human. The creatures explode if you get too close. Luckily I was near water. I swam past the arrows they shot at me. I survived until the sunlight killed them. It was then I found another, someone like me. I've been taking refuge in the village for a while now. They don't know why I'm here, but they've explained a lot to me. I understand how it works now. I think I know a way out. But in order to craft, I need to mine. Diary entry, 14th of the 11th, 13. I built the portal. We lost a couple of people getting the obsidian, but it's been built. The way out of here. I'm the one who will first enter the purple void. I've been dreaming about the other side for so long. The green grass and the trees that the island has will be more common on the other side. Vast forests are waiting for me on the other side. I remember my life on the other side. My husband, our house, my job, my friends, my life. I'm entering the portal tomorrow. I'm going back to where I came from. I inadvertently quoted Hamilton now.
I was going to say, yeah, that's...
Washington is watching from the other side. Okay, diary entry. The 6th of the 1st, 18. I've just discovered this, and I felt only right that I finish it off. She never returned. None of our ancestors have. The portal was destroyed after we found out the hell is summoned. It's the only lead we found off this place in 5 years. Since then, everyone's given up. Settled to start a new life on the island. I'll carry on her legacy. I'll enter the portal. I'll get back home, or I'll die trying. Chapter 2b, on twists. A twist can be a dangerous thing. If done right, twists will be talked about forever. So much so that they'll become so rooted in popular culture that they aren't even twists anymore. The island was one of...
Ethan, stop doing lunges.
Oh, that could be picking up really weirdly on my...
Sorry, it's a long one. The island was one of my earliest stories, and falls into a trap that I see so many young writers did. It's primarily constructed around a twist. Once you know the twist, the entire thing collapses. I didn't write it for some greater artistic purpose or to convey my life's experience. I just liked the twist. I thought I'd use The Island, no, not the Michael Bay film, that also has a terrible twist, to reflect upon the nature of twists and why some are Planet of the Apes 1967 and some others are Planet of the Apes 2001. My twist is that the narrator has found herself in Minecraft, missing her memories from the real world. It's an idea I had before I knew about that Sword Art Online was the thing.
I was going to say, is it Sword Art Online, but Minecraft?
The dramatic irony coming from the reveal of Minecraft just before the narrator enters the Nether portal. My editor said it was too vague and made me add another paragraph for its publication and reflections. I did so knowing that due to the book's very nature I'd be able to tell you exactly why it's bullshit. The story was pretty bad, but the one element I liked was the ambiguity. Would the woman return home after entering the portal? Does she return after death? The final paragraph kind of ruins something, which is already quite bad. Back to twists. Twists. Watch Mojo made a video about them, and me and Ethan bonded on whether there wasn't an arrow. The very nature of a twist satisfies me. It makes me feel stupid when I don't see them coming. A mid-film / end of Act 2 twist can be great, like in Fight Club, as it allows the character to deal with the twist as well as me. A film like The Prestige is so perfectly constructed around its final twists and turns, subsequent rewatches frame the film in a completely different way. My favourite twist in the film is probably City of God, which simply reveals a piece of information which changes how I think about the film without changing any of the film's original content. Of course, I'm primarily focusing on the big plot twists, and not the countless twists and turns and surprising elements even the most basic narrative can have. Because, well, I'm running out of time. Reflections has a twist, not narratively, but structurally. Up until now, you've heard the story, followed by the reflection. Just stretching it. Okay, brace yourselves, boys. Interlude. Hamilton opens with a question. How does the bastard orphan son of a whore and a Scotsman dropped by a forgotten spot in the middle of the Caribbean by providence, impoverished and squalor grow up to be a hero and a scholar? Well, not really a question, but you get the idea. When Lin-Manuel Miranda, a young Puerto Rican-American actor and writer, created his first musical, Into the Heights, he made a name for himself. Enough of a name that when the White House held a poetry jam in 2009, Miranda was invited to perform a song from his musical. Instead, he performed a rap song about the Treasury Secretary and founding father of America, Alexander Hamilton. The song took a year to develop and was intended to be part of a concept album, not an album with a concept. Oh, after the whole room, including the Obamas, gave Miranda a standing ovation, he started writing more. After 2.5 years, Miranda had 2 songs and an idea. It took 6 years before the world would see Hamilton, an American musical, performed in New York's Public Theatre. From then on, the world turned upside down. Hamilton is now the biggest show on Broadway, the West End, and the cast recording is a Grammy-winning album. But what is it? Well, it's a sung-through musical about Alexander Hamilton, performed with predominantly hip-hop and rap music. After reading the little-known story of America's first Treasury Secretary, Lin-Manuel Miranda saw a hip-hop story of a poor immigrant who came and conquered America. It's also a story that very few before the musical knew. Hamilton does something amazing. It manages to take the founding fathers, figures who've been staring at America from banknotes, statues, and history books, and brings them to life. It's a white story told with a It's a white story told with a well-represented, diverse cast. By doing this, Miranda is telling a historical story of America through the lens of modern progressive America. This colour-conscious casting is not only making a strong political point, but allows Miranda to cast actors who would best understand rap and suited to perform it. Hamilton is one of the most intrinsically written things I've ever seen and heard. The way it plays with the words to create humour and reframe history is genius. It manages in 2 songs to set up almost all the conflict and the 2 leads and their relationship perfectly. Also, they're certified bangers. The strength of the music aids the wordplay. Each character has their own lyrical and musical leitmotif, which is woven into different songs throughout. The strength of the musical genre is that you can have characters immediately communicate to the audience how they are feeling in a way that doesn't feel cheap or on the nose. Perhaps its greatest strength is in the villain of the piece, Aaron Burr. At the start, Burr informs the audience, "I'm the damn fool that shot him," and by doing so, lets the audience follow him from an indecisive centrist to a man who shoots his friend. His development is seamlessly done through each song, and pretty much any actor who plays Burr goes on to win awards. Thomas Jefferson is another fantastic supporting character. Miranda's interpretation of Jefferson as a Bugs Bunny-esque figure who shows up after the war and coasts through American history. Jefferson's first song, "What Did I Miss?" brilliantly conveys this. He sings jazz music as everyone around him is rapping. Jefferson's missed a lot. His line, "Every action has an equal opposite reaction," for the man who invented the 2-party system is incredible, and his purple hat and cane make him look like the Joker, and I just love the guy. Of course, it isn't perfect. One major criticism is that it kind of ignores slavery and manifest destiny, or the various other atrocities that the founding fathers of America committed. Of course, the musical doesn't pretend that any of these men are perfect, but it does, much like Alexander Hamilton himself, the musical dances around slavery. Hamilton's friend John Lawrence attempts to abolish it, and Hamilton helps him, but he never does, or even confronts George Washington, his father figure who owned slaves. The actor Christopher Jackson, who played Washington in the original cast, talks about this rather elegantly in the PBS Hamilton documentary, and how he'll never make peace with it. But it ties into my criticism chapter, which I haven't actually read yet. You can enjoy something while still holding it to an impossible standard. Hamilton was called by Michelle Obama the most important piece of art I've ever seen. Barack Obama, who inadvertently created the musical by inviting Miranda to the White House in 2009, recently starred in a cover of a song, Miranda's Final Ever Hamel Drop, and in doing so, completes the loop. It's like Dark Souls. If I were to rank films, books, TV shows, movies, songs, and pretty much all other art It'll be Portal 2 at the top, about 5 or 6 films, and then Hamilton. It's really that good. So how can you listen to it? Well, apart from spending a lot of money on a ticket, you could first listen to the album, watch live performances of certain songs on YouTube, and then watch the PBS documentary, which has the beginning, levels of access to the creative process, except they didn't go too far in a few places. Any musical which can have the line, "You're gonna need congressional approval and you don't have the votes," and not suck, is worth a listen. I've gone on for far too long now, so I'll stop. Sorry about that. To quote the second big number in Hamilton, my shot, sometimes I get overexcited, shoot off at the mouth. I've never had a group of friends before, I promise that I'll make you all proud. It's the end of the interlude, so we'll have a sip of water.
Can I get the award for not doing anything weird?
I'm just having a sip of water because I'm reading out. Ethan's stretching. I'm going to stop doing it because it's freaking me out. Chapter 3a, on criticism. Are you ready for the reflection followed by the story? As you can see, talking about shit you like can be fun. I wish I was able to write my countless thoughts on Hamilton, document my feelings in a way which conveys my emotional truth. For our reactions to art are purely emotional. The role of the critic is to rationalise the emotional response and to ask why. While some would consider me a writer, others would call me a critic. Not in just the ways that everyone's a critic, but I thought for a brief time I might even be good at it. My problem is that I always focused too much on my feelings. I didn't know enough of the cultural context. I didn't ask why enough. I never criticised my own work. I guess that's why I'm doing this now. I always liked games because I always liked games, but I never felt welcomed by them. Probably because I was terrible at them, but also because of the way the industry shifted. Video games always aim for needlessly impressive hair rendering technology, the latest water textures, the most realistic animations. In a world where a debate exists as to if games are pieces of technology and not pieces of art, companies prioritise superficial elements instead of giving the creators the freedom they deserved. Gamers also hate criticism. They do love the surface level IGN 7.8 out of 10 stuff, but they hate genuine academic criticism. Years ago, I wrote about Gamergate and the systemic sexism within the video game industry, but I failed to get it. People don't like to be wrong, and feminist criticism of games was hard. Being told that something you associate so much of your identity with has serious problems must suck, whilst complaining that certain games you like, such as VA11 Hall A, aren't great, is annoying. A woman on the internet telling you that the genre is sexist and apparently is enough to prompt death threats. On an unrelated note, if you criticise Nathan for you, I will kill you. Criticism is important for art to grow and to improve. It can also be lazy. Although it's impossible to label criticism good or bad, some is clearly in bad faith. Look at Cinema Sins. The videos claim to be satire, but are simply nitpicks from an annoying guy who caught lightning in a bottle years ago and has been doing the same thing ever since. This has aided internet imitators to focus too much on plot holes in their criticism, ignoring actual messages of most movies in the process. This is unfair. The internet has some great movie criticism. It's normally found amongst the bullshit though. The trick is, if they hated The Last Jedi, give them a pass. God, this is so hypocritical. My fickle nature will see me letting Rebecca Hall hang herself, and then getting a twin brother hung. Man's reach really did exceed his imagination. It's been a while since I've seen real magic. That paragraph's just in there and I never explained it. I was obviously bored. Great criticism can make things improve in your mind. I wonder if the reflection you'll make... Sorry, I need to start this again. Great criticism can make things improve in your mind. I wonder if the reflection will make you like the story more. Not likely with the next one. I was in a bad place. I just got an offer to write a few issues of Batman. I'd run a ton of them, and there were like 4 good runs. So I tried to make a joke of it. They never called me back. I fucking need a break before this one. I'm gonna pause it.
Oh, don't be a prick.
Oh no, there we go.
We got it working.
Seeds his imagination.
Ready, guys? Chapter 3b. The Batman! Alright. The Dark Knight stands on a stone gargoyle atop the Gotham Church. He looks upon the city, the thin veil of fog that cloaks it, waiting until the inevitable bat signal in the sky before allowing himself to fall headfirst into darkness. James Gordon stands upon the rooftop of the GCPD. He'd seen many a night in Gotham, but perhaps never one as cold as this. Evening, Jim. A familiar voice called out from the darkness. Batman, you took your time. A Batman is never late or early. He arrives precisely when he means to. Says Batman, doing an
famous line.
doing an impression of Sir Ian McKellen. Commissioner Gordon stares blankly at the shadowy figure. We have no time for quips, Joss Whedon. The Joker has broken out of Arkham Asylum, and he's left you this. He pulls out a brick and hands it to Batman. Thanks, Jim. I'll get it back to you. Oh, thanks, Jim. I'll get it back to you. Says Christine Bale as Bruce Wayne as Batman. Gordon then turns around and says some stuff about the Joker for the first time comic reader before turning around and Batman is already gone. Audience laughs. The next panel is Batman scanning the brick on his PC to work out where Joker is. Robin doesn't show up because he's now Nightwing, protector of Bloodhaven, because Schumacher was allowed to complete his trilogy and made Robin edgy. The Batcomputer then flashes up. Joker detected. Nightwing takes the brick from Batman. I'll look after this totally innocent brick, Batman. Ah, see you found him then, Master Wayne, says Alfred in a bad Michael Caine voice. He's in the abandoned funfair. And the brick told you that, did it, Master Wayne? No, he's obviously in the funfair. You seen the guy? Dick can work out the brick. Later that night, ah! Chuckles the Joker, doing a bad Luke Skywalker impression. What's up, Mr. J? Says Harley Quinn, doing a bad Margot Robbie impression. He's here, the Batman. Joker chuckles. The room fills with gas. Joker and Harley turn around wearing oxygen masks. Batman grabs at his throat and collapses. Fade to black. Batman is now tied up in a chair. For some reason, the Joker didn't use poison gas to kill Batman. He just left him tied up. He also didn't unmask him. Batman is left tied up. Joker hits him in the face with a crowbar. It hurts as much as being thrown up into space and hit repeatedly by green laser blasts from Starfire. Fucking Injustice 2.
Leonardo.
Joker also makes Batman watch the first 30 seconds of Persona, turning him gay. Hello, bats, you've fallen into my trap. Little did you know the brick was actually a bomb, which will detonate now. Joker chuckles. No! Grunts Adam West as Batman. Nightwing is then shown in the adjacent panel sitting next to the brick. Then, an explosion. In a blind rage, Michael Keaton breaks out of the chair. I'm Birdman! He screams before slamming Jack Nicholson's face into the floor. It's high fibre. Christopher Walken shrugs and leaves the room as Batman beats down the Joker. He goes into his mind palace and does a Robert Downey Jr. fight scene in Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. Break finger. Joker screams. Puts hand down the throat, grab his tongue and pull. The Joker hits Batman in his kneecap, forcing him down and causing Batman to free his tongue. The Joker gets his crowbar and keeps on hitting Batman. The cracks of bones and the crimson blood that floods out of George Clooney's suit and fills the room as Harley Quinn from Batman the Animated Series grabs her radio and announces, "Come in, Bane!" Simon Miller, in a Bane mask, kicks down the door. Shalom, Batman. Did somebody order a loon? Tom Hardy then picks up the bleeding and broke Val Kilmer and breaks his back, which should kill him but doesn't. He then carries Batman to the complex geopolitical quagmire that is the Middle East and drops him into a hole. Batman wakes up to a doctor played by John Hurt type, but not the doctor from Doctor Who who's played by John Hurt. He fixes his back by drenching it in boiling acid. Batman uses his grappling hook to get out of the hotel and then teleports to the Overlook Hotel. I'm back, Joker. This didn't happen in The Shining. Batman pulls out the Gravelord sword and plunges the knife into his Joker. What more do you need? The Joker chuckles. You think you can Heath Ledger me, Batman? No one can break back my mountain, chuckled Cesar Romero on a surfboard. Joker, why aren't you dead? Ben Affleck, Batman says, because Zack Snyder's the only Batman that kills apart from the time Keaton throws a guy into an exploding subway and then smiles. It's because I'm Clayface, says Sandman. It's because I'm Clayface, says Sadman. Did you know that was me? Chuckles the Joker. Enter Sandman starts as Batman rules with Clayface. Isn't this the Doom theme? Says Ra's al Ghul, who is the other bullshit reason the characters die and come back in the Batman comics. Later that night, Batman collapses on his bed. He beat Joker, who was actually Clayface, and fixed a broken back, but now it's time for rest as tomorrow, the biggest threat to the universe is coming. The next day, Thanos arrives in Wakanda through his portal. Captain America touches his ear, even though he's not wearing a communicator. He's here. The Avengers then go on to get owned by Thanos. Vision dies twice, and Thor flies into Thanos and hits him with an axe. You should have aimed for the head! Purple Josh Brolin whizzes before snapping his fingers, but just before he does, Batman rips the gauntlet from Thanos' arm and tosses it to the floor. He pushes the shocked Thor away and pulls Stormbreaker from Thanos' chest and punched the axe-shaped hole in Thanos. Purple blood spills out of the Mad Title, who now regrets quipping all that for a drop of blood earlier. Batman pulls out a Batarang and shoves it into Thanos' eye as the eye bursts. Batman pulled out his Amex and started talking about the Patty Winter show. Do you like Huey Lewis in the news? The early work was a little too new wave for my taste. When On the Nature of Daylight came out in '83, I think they really came into their own. Upon hearing this overused bit from American Psycho, Thanos dies. Wow, you've saved the world, says Chris Hemsworth with an eye patch. I'm the Great Danton, says Wolverine. Thanos was right, says Tony. Program and control, says Colin Rittman. If we don't hold them accountable, who will, says the trailer to the Post. Batman looks at the camera and smiles. I'm Batman. Post-credit scene. Later that night, Ben Shapiro sits making a video to own the libs. Batman then bursts through the door. Wait a minute, pleads Shapiro in a Newt Gunray-esque fashion. You've had so many opportunities to talk about me and why I'm wrong, debate me and keep it civil. So much for the tolerant left. Trans rights are human rights. The Holocaust was bad. Ponyo was a 5 out of 10. All these things Tony disagrees with, you goblin. Runs Batman.
He disagrees with.
I'm very confused right now, says Shapiro. Instead of beating Shapiro to death, Batman owns him with facts and logic, unlike Ben Shapiro. Until Ben Shapiro, son of Bob Shapiro, melts like a snowflake. He's gone. Although Weasel Boy will live on through YouTube recommended forever, along with Preston Walk South. And these guys made it.
Got it out.
The second post-credit scene is Nick Fury creating the challenges or some shit, I don't know.
The challenges.
That's my done. That's finished. That's chapter's gone. I'm gonna have a drink now.
These guys made it.
It only gets easier now because I stopped using paragraphs. Chapter 4a on Mediate. Mediate is a stupid idea I had in assembly. Mediate is a series of YouTube videos with no views. Mediate is a podcast.
7 views.
Mediate is a podcast in which half the episodes are too quiet to hear. Mediate is me upsetting a friend by not liking his favourite game. Mediate is waiting months before letting another one in. Mediate is a clock which you wish would just fuck off and die. Mediate is a spreadsheet. Media is Jonno, Ethan, and Tony. Mediate is the episode we did with Lawrence. Mediate is all the dumb... Mediate is all the dumb shit that I say that I wish I could take back. Mediate is a book club, but for games and films. Mediate is an excuse to get your friends to consume the art you love. Mediate is why I'm writing this, why I'm reflecting. Mediate is perhaps how you best know me. Mediate is a tired format of starting every sentence with mediate is like a shit train spotting. Mediate is making Tony scream at 2 a.m. Mediate is sitting in a room writing nonsense for 12 hours, none of which is as funny as doing Immigrant Song in a Colin Rittman voice.
Literally in the middle of the night I burst out laughing because I thought about Immigrant Song in Colin.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sure I'm gonna die.
Mediate is sitting in a room. Alright. Shall I? I'll just let it play out.
Oh my god. I just remember you playing at the beginning of it, looking over and seeing like the mothership background, and then I was like, what's he gonna do with this? And then you paused it as it
Okay. I think Tony's actually died. He's doing a grudge noise. I'm gonna take this to have a sip of water.
Can you take a sip of water in a Colin Rittman voice?
No. Alright. Do you want me to reread that? Mediate is sitting in a room writing nonsense for 12 hours. None of it which is as funny as doing Immigrant Song in a Colin Rittman voice or the jokes we made over pizza. Mediate is an attempt to capture us, our friendship, our arguments. Mediate is eventually going to go away and then it'll be nothing but a memory. Mediate is us, we are Mediate. Chapter 4b, The Artist. Every driver knows a train needs an oven, noted the artist. That's good. It's not overused and it will please the judge. Focus. This is the final piece of fiction before the end. Most of the book has been your stupid ramblings. They still don't understand it. It's so simple. The book is a collection of fiction paired with related non-fiction reflecting upon the mistakes of the original piece. But the genius is that the book was written and structured backwards and therefore reflects itself. It's genius. They'll love it. No, it's too pretentious. The writing is bad anyway. Face it, the only reason this is being made is for that competition. You're using all the bad ideas and dressing them up in a smart structure to try and be something you aren't. But I am. Even at my age, I still can be. As an artist, my work is still valid. I can still reflect upon my work, and through my mistakes, they can be better. If this helps someone see the artist in them, then it's a success. But it's also terrible. The reflections are worse than the writing they're actually based on. Shut up, Dan. Dan? Actually, she's over 6,000 years old, officer. Oh, very smart. It's just like your script. Play by his rules and then win and coast off your success. You're worthless and your ideas are garbage. It's all memes. You thought you could find a deeper truth, but the only thing you found is that you can waste their time. Waste their time writing a rambling chapter just to explain the book. You call this fiction? This is just your thoughts. A stream of consciousness. This is not art. No! I'm not just an author or a critic, I'm an artist. Yes, that was a mistake, I'm sorry, but mistakes are the point. We are what they grow beyond. I'm running out of time. I don't want to go. Epilogue A. On endings. Synecdoche, New York included the line, "The end is built into the beginning." Like most of the film, I don't really get it, but it's kind of beautiful in a twisted way, like most of the film. I've reached the end of my reflections now. This is it. I hope that this has helped you understand in some way. If anything, I want you to have seen yourself. See beyond the title what's really looking back at you. Find the artist within you, the one ready to risk everything for a pathetic search for some deeper meaning. Be serious, be stupid, do your thing. I'm sorry. I promised that I'd make it fun at the end. Like openings, I can't really do endings, so I'll just steal another inspirational ending. An ending I think about a lot. An ending which is as abrupt and as sudden as this. None of your questions will have been answered, and I'll have you waiting for a follow-up, although life isn't a game. I don't have all the answers that I seeked when I started all this. All I have are my stories and their reflections. I'll miss you. Epilogue B. The Spartan. The spaceship warped out of hyperspace and into the blockade protecting Earth. "We got a new contact, unknown classification," the soldier on comms announced. "It isn't one of ours. Take it out," the commander ordered. "This is Spartan 117. Can anyone hear me? Over," the Spartan says. "Isolate that signal. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?" "Sir, finishing this fight." Dun 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 dun. Huh. The girl on the park bench closed the book. The back of it was identical to the front. Simple. Only the colour silver. The only thing that could be seen is a girl in a brown coat. A reflection.
I like the part where Batman killed Thanos. Very good. Thank you, Sega, for that.
That's the first time that's ever been said. Thank you, Sega.
For another 3D Sonic game.
It's actually Shenmue 4.
It's actually Chrome Hounds 2.
What's the time?
It's time to end this.
Hello and welcome to E3, the Light Novel Challenge Award theme we're doing. Now you've just heard all of the presentations from the big three companies, and that was a lot of fun. But just to warm us up as we go into the award ceremony for Best in Show, I'm gonna give my notes on each one. You know, a bit of a Harry writing notes on what was it, Nylon Encounters, kind of several pages of in-depth analysis which no one wanted on each one. We'll just have a talk about them before we go into the proper award giving out. So, Jonno, In Transit, several days on, what are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about your performance?
Well, I think it was
as Sony.
It was sort of well, it was better than I thought it was at the time, but it was still, haphazard. I tried a nuanced creation in like a 12-hour like thing where I just wasn't particularly motivated to do much at all. So it was very, not. It didn't reach the heights that I wanted it to, and didn't get across quite a few of the things. I noticed when reading back through it, just there was something I started and then forgot I was going to bring up later.
Oh man, so do you feel it was difficult because it was your third book writing, or was it just the 12 hours or the time?
I think just at the time I just didn't feel like I particularly wanted to do it. Yeah, no, I just didn't have it.
Sometimes it's just a job and you've gotta put in the hours. But I think it was still a decent showing. I've just got my quick thing. So for those of you who for some reason only listen to the second half of YouTube videos, there's a summary. It was this sort of wandering, almost inner monologue type story of Jonno sort of thinking to himself across these types of journeys. So it was like, what he thinks about when he's in the train, and there's, I could go back and forth on the train forever kind of thing. And to me, it felt quite podcast like, which is a bit more difficult to compare to the other ones, which is Ethan. As we'll get to him, he did a very traditional sort of narrative, and I don't know our release schedule, but we've recently had the whole argument about is a YouTube series, is it like an actual TV show? And I think in this,
I love how this is gonna go up like months after.
I'm gonna say, yeah, because that's
been cemented.
This
That's
is
up
the
there
summer,
at the moment. Yeah.
This is the summer.
Okay, good. So, and I think this is one of those things where it's a bit of an apples and oranges kind of comparison, since I feel like traditional stories are more direct, whereas this tried to be more wandering, but just instead of trying to have like a point, it was more about getting in that headspace of Jonno. And to compare it to your other things, just quickly, I feel like you were going for a different momentum, if I can say that word, have it not be a meme. Different sort of energy.
If I can also say transit and have that not be a meme.
Transit. Those little goblins. But I think I did have the sort of Jonno style of you following your own train of thought of like the story is about what you're thinking about that happens to be interesting at the time. I was put up today, of course. I'm like halfway through listening to it. I totally forgot about that. Okay. And you had some cool stories in there too. There was the cyberpunk one, and you also had a poem in there. Is that an original poem? Is that like you?
No, that's an actual poem. I was just like, right, there's this rush of try and get this many words done by this point. I'm just gonna write a poem. I'll copy out a poem.
Fair enough. I thought you might have done a a Quentin Tarantino come up with a Bible verse thing, which would have been very impressive. But no, fair enough.
He's an impressive character from what I've heard. This poet, the poem of his that I first heard is basically just kind of like, yeah, we're all human. Why don't we get along? Kind of thing.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Typical social justice warrior pandering. All right. Yours is quite interesting. I think it has 5 acts, if I understand what the word acts means, which I probably don't.
It's the book equivalent of Casino Royale.
Yeah, I was like, because I thought that the cyberpunk story was in the middle, and so as I listened to it the first time, I was like, oh, is it dragging towards the end? And I realised that no, it's got the 2 peaks. Like the second peak is almost around, as we said, with the Golden Age of Islam story, and then it continues off from there. So, is that a symptom of trying to write a lot, or is that more intentional?
I think it's just because it is sort of following my thoughts. It is just kind of where I needed moments to I don't know, it kind of fitted well because basically when I was running out of just, I say, like, original thoughts to have, basically, I would then just kind of flow into the different narrative, basically, which is sort of what, like, just happens in my head anyway. If I like, reach the end of a particular thought and I get bored of it, then I'll just move on to usually just like, right, it's just, I don't know, battlefield, this here, and see how it goes. So, yeah, I sort of aimed for, I don't know, because I mean, some of the journey mentioned at the start, part of the reason for the weird kind of cyclic thing of it is because actually the train journey that I had at the start I actually had at the end, but I thought this was where I came up with the idea for it, and a more interesting way to rearrange it is to pretend that I had that journey at the same time, like before, because basically it's like the subtext underneath it that I tried never to mention is that it's about me going off to uni and how that's changed my life.
I definitely got that at some point.
Yeah.
I'm not a very good subtext noticer, but I think that was one that came through on successive readings. Also, apparently you're a coward now because you use subtext. Damn. You should have spelled it out for your P-Brain audience members, Jonno. If I have to think, it's bad. Alright. So, any final thoughts before we start talking about Ethan's one?
One of the things I wanted to go into more, because I realised that, like, just it's kind of out of place without me having gone back to it, is like the bit where I like describe I can't remember exactly how I do it, but like broken flesh or like scrunched metal or something like that.
You have like a moment where I think it's you're like worried about a car crash.
Yeah, that is it.
Ethan,
that's
like car crashes.
But yeah, I sort of meant to like build on that a bit more, because that's something I get from like time to time in journeys. Is just I like worry that I'm about to be in a car crash, and then I like follow that through into like the like aftermath of that and what it would be like, and if I was like the only survivor there, or if that's sometimes have those kind of thoughts that sort of sneak in, and I don't like them as much. So I don't know. That meant to be like the first bit of something that would be like addressed again later, and then I sort of forgot that I mentioned that. So there's just like a random bit where I have this slightly weird flash.
Yeah, it is hard doing it live, and so you get those little artifacts. So Ethan, you there?
I am, yeah.
You armed and ready. So, Passover / Spirited Near. Do you have a final title? Because I do have it as written as Passover / Spirited Near.
I mean, let's use that as a title. Why not?
All right, which is Spirited Near like the subtitle?
No, what you could do is you could have
Passover.
You could have a Passover, and then in brackets Spirited Near, like a whole Birdman thing going on there.
I think maybe it's like Spirited Near is like the original like Japanese or French maybe like name, and it was translated to Passover to appease to English audiences.
Speaking from Sega's point of view, it could be like the Mega Drive and the Genesis. You've got the different titles in different regions.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a Resident Evil, like a Biohazard kind of thing.
Yeah,
which is always very cool because I love that name. So, just to summarize it again for people who didn't see the first half, I think it's the simplest one. I think I'll go out and say that this was the one that started with an early lead because it had the best elevator pitch, and I'll just say that right out because we knew that as we were writing, that it had the best sort of description in 20 words or less that let it get advanced funding to make the game. And so it had I don't have it to hand because I'm not organised. No, I do actually. It's trio arrive on island looking for foreign objects, other band close in pursuit. And it's pretty simple. I think it's one where I was like, oh my god, this is a thing Ethan has done where I can like describe the point of it. Like, that's it. I can describe the thing they're trying to do, and I really like that, because I think there are a few, I want to say subtle hints in the way the awards were laid out to encourage people to diverge from what they've done before.
What about the award for resting, stretching, drinking?
The award for resting and stretching, we'll get to that, but that was very funny. That Ethan missed the fucking point, to put it lightly. I think, Ethan, I'm not gonna lie, I've worked with you before on productions. Full disclosure for any people out there who are looking to sue me. So I'm going to be the most critical on you. So So yours, gotta say off the bat, very detailed, very vivid. I think on the beginning, it was difficult to convince you that, hey, you should take this seriously, because you wanted to be Ouya and be immediately disqualified, which would have been funny. But I'm glad we got a good story out of it in the end, which is more better.
Well, I'm glad that you think that, because I think it's a bit of a shining situation, in the sense that the author isn't really proud of it, and if you were to adapt it into something, then you'd probably be a lot more impressed with it than I am.
Yeah, it is the kind of thing where I get this whenever I read anything that Ethan does, where I'm like, oh, I really would love to edit this, just because it'd be so fun to like reduce it to like 1/8 the word count. But there is a lot of I will say like great underlying like imagery into it. I think he really went all out on the settings, is something that stood out to me. But again, an artifact of trying to write it in 12 hours. It feels like a lot of the structure of the sentences, like you really like these sort of half comma filled sentences. Like you like using the word "and" to just say two things. You like put a comma in there and phrase it in like such a weird way, where you just say like half of a sentence on top of another sentence. I'm like, what's going on here? But at the same time,
Tony, if you're if you're trying to tell me that my writing style is quite weird and strange, it's no news to me. People have been telling me this for a while now.
It is a bit esoteric, but I will say that if you yourself like producing these vivid, imageful, that's a word, these stories, how come you haven't read Picture of Dorian Gray yet, Ethan?
Tony,
that was the point of the last
as you say that,
thing.
I am looking right at it. It's on my shelf right in front of me. I brought it to uni with me.
Because he doesn't like gay subtext.
Gay subtext, man. Well, I mean, I completely missed it and still had a great time. So I feel like in what you were trying to do, you had the unique challenge of being Nintendo, which means you have to do a more kid-friendly story, which the final decision on that will come at the end. But you at least you tried to attempt it, and I feel like in doing so, this story is a real like deconstruction of what the Ethan like archetype or story is, because you've pulled back a lot of the unnecessary things. You've pulled back a lot of the we're an FBI agent, we're trying to get the Armenian gold, like things that I took the piss out of like 2 years ago. I think you've come to realize like, hey, maybe Tony's onto something. Maybe if I wanna appeal to him as the judge, I'll do the thing.
I mean, you are right about something. I definitely should listen to you more. But there are two things that there are two things that I know.
Yes, that's all.
There are two things that I know about how I write.
What now for
there are two things I know about how I write, and one of those is that I make things unnecessarily complicated for myself. And the other thing is that I try to be original, and I don't think I've achieved that. So I'm not particularly proud of it, to be honest. And I think similarly with Jonathan, it's because I was similarly with everyone with all of these challenges, because we only have 12 hours, and I know that's kind of the point. But if I sat there for a year with this concept, I think I'd be able to make something that I'm actually quite happy with.
Oh man, I think it's good though that it forces us to be like rapid fire. Like we can't be precious with it, we kind of just have to get out the door. So I'll say, just a couple more points about your story. You've got probably the largest cast and the largest consistent cast in any of the stories. And I feel like, while that does do good, and there are some of the awards, the SJW agenda that definitely help with having a diverse, large cast. But at the same time, I feel that sort of sacrificed more on getting that character depth, which is normally been something that I look for in the Ethan scripts, such as in layman's terms. I feel like normally you have a very concrete idea of what your characters are, and I feel like this, you just didn't have the space for each character to show it as much as you could have. But I think that is just a bit of a symptom of this scenario, since you focused on the environment and the story. Something had to give, I guess.
I mean, I am quite reassured in the sense that I wrote this and I looked back on it and thought, actually, this wasn't really. I mean, I say actually, I kind of knew as I was writing it that it wasn't that good from my perspective. So I am quite, I am reassured that there is something out there that I have written that I am quite proud of, and it makes me think, actually, no, I can be a good writer when I spend a long time trying to do one thing instead of just 12 hours on something that I came up with that morning.
Yeah, so just the last couple of points, again, saying about how we reduced, the classic Ethan, a load of extra nonsense. I think this is probably the only time that we've done a light novel challenge where it's been about doing a thing, it's been one story that has a goal, and it's just doing that one goal. And it's not had no meta nonsense around it,
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, I think that was interesting.
It's a shame that I ran out of time and didn't want to go way over the word limit, because I would have had a proper conclusion at the end instead of leaving it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think the ending is definitely something I'll talk about later, but just so people know, it's a sort of ambiguous ending. And final point I'll say is, I think a lot of your stories, you don't normally do comedy apart from when you're writing American Pie. I think your stories tend to be serious in not in oh, everything's dark and gritty, but I think it's in a way that's more the characters respect the gravity of the situation, kind of like in an Ethan story, you would never have a Deadpool-esque character walk out of the fourth wall and say, "Look at all this! It's a load of nonsense," kind of thing. You have a
you're
serious
absolutely right.
tone, and I think this uses it well.
I'd say there are blackly comic elements, especially in Ethan's first book. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, I think this is also one of the Ethan stories that I've just been able to listen to. The first two are so dense. I'm almost I only hear every third thing, And this one, it was a lot clearer to follow. And so,
Hang on, yeah.
But talking to more his, I'm gonna say quote unquote professional work, his script, his in layman's terms, his what's this other stuff, El Paso story, all that, benzene solvent. They have a serious thing, and that's an artifact of art. He writes about crime and all that other stuff, mysteries. And this, you'd think it's a bit more childish, but no, it I think the fact that it's serious, I think it has
good.
It works, it adds
I mean, Harry.
Story. Any last comments?
I wanted to just say, Harry, wouldn't you agree that the thing that I gave you to read recently, that it's extremely kind of serious and isn't comical in the slightest?
Definitely, yeah. I know I can't. This is a bit I don't know, but I'd just like to say that Ethan's first two books are definitely kind of they're more like Adam McKay, The Big Short, kind of just quick, funny, satirical. Whereas I felt like this was more like Spielberg. It was the fact that he had to do a Nintendo thing. He made it a lot more adventure focused. And if I can comment on Johnny's quick. His has always been the kind of Douglas Adams existential comedy.
Yeah.
And those elements are still kind of woven in, but I love the personal stuff, especially towards the end of his book. Just to throw that out there.
So
you're great too, Toby.
to the reflections by Harry. So again, just a quick summary. I think if I see a lot of, whenever I read something, I think I compare it to things that I've done, which is a bit. I always think, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. I've only ever done like 3 things, so that makes it like a bad comparison. Like everything I ever do, I'm like, this reminds me of that time I built that shed. But
it's like Dark Souls.
It's like Dark Souls. I compare everything to like a very small set. But in this, I felt like, hey, this does remind me of like the first book I made, which is like an anthology story where it's a story accompanied with a like the director almost commentating on it. And I will say this is structured like way better. But it is that sort of short story, and then like a hey, how did that go kind of back and forth that also does tell a sort of, I would say, overarching kind of story in a way. How do you feel about that summary, Harry? Have I missed the point? Did I miss the gay subtext again?
No, not really. I feel like as being Sega, we had to come up with something big and bold, after the Saturn failed, getting back into the console business. We needed it.
Every time you come back, you've got to bet it all on the 1 in 100 odds. Never take it safe.
It's out right now.
I think with these short stories, I think there's a good range there. Like some of them, like there's the Minecraft one. There's the Batman one, there's like very funny ones that sort of had like, hey, I want to tell this one story for the sake of this one twist kind of thing. And the review as well with what's it called, Alexander Hamilton. The good range is definitely a good strength of it. And I think this was this year, this E3, we didn't have that many. I don't think that this, like, memes have kind of fallen out as being like the go-to way to win. I think they're kind of overdone at this point. But this had the most memes, and I feel like it wasn't like done in a way that was like, hey, I'm just gonna use memes to win. Like it had like, hey, I'm gonna write a funny chapter that uses memes, and like they had their place in the story, which was good. I think that works better, in my opinion. How do you feel, Harry, about that? Is that a fair comment?
Yeah. If I could, can I talk about it for a tiny bit?
Yeah. Go ahead. Shoot.
Because obviously my first book is a very straightforward book. It does have memes, but it's also like, it's like a funny, like regular self-contained story. The second one is just the script as a vehicle for jokes. I'm essentially just writing jokes, and then obviously I've had I had some time out, and in that time I've had so many like little ideas, like just thinking about like, oh, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, and I've never I really like the anthology stuff. I really liked the thing that you did last time as well, with the
I hate that. I hate it so much, Harry. You have no idea.
Yeah, but I like the kind of the personal touch. So I almost saw this as like a vehicle, just to like, this book's more for me, just so I can I've done lots of little ideas that I've had, so I can just get rid of them and never think about them again. Yeah, I don't have to think about that stupid Minecraft story. It's been in my head for like 6 months.
Is it literally like a reflection? You made this for you to look into, and you see yourself.
Yeah.
That was deep.
I mean, like, I like the little narrative I have going through. It's not really, I don't think I'd make it as overt, but the idea is essentially the writer, who's me, is dying, and and they just want to like get something out quick, like before this guy's plucked it. A bit like the woman who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and they're essentially taking like half-formed ideas, and then I hate them all, but they still publish it anyway. And the irony of the kind of the start and the end end up being that it's actually the thing I'm most remembered for. I don't know. I had some good ideas, but I kind of lost my way because I wrote the first chapter and the last chapter. I basically wrote it backwards. That didn't help. It is a bit scattershot.
This is you say scattershot, but I feel like this is the one that has like the most, especially with the formatting being as clear as it is. Which, massively underrated thing to talk about for books is how good the formatting is. And this one, you can tell that it's like follows a pattern, and I feel like that's like definitely a strong point. But at the same time, I think almost, I don't know, maybe it's the artifact of just being only 12 hours, but I would have probably just like, hey, he's doing interesting things, I just want to would have seen more, and I feel like, oh man, maybe he was limited because he had to tell the story in such like a mirror by mirror fashion.
Oh no, the ideas were just really limited. That's the problem. A lot of them are like, there's only so much I can actually write.
So you only wrote as many ideas as you had, is what you say.
I went in with a decent amount of ideas, and then when I sat writing them, I realised that there wasn't much to go on with a lot of them. And then I just turned to memes because I got bored.
Memes are good. So any final comments before we get into the full-on award show?
No, I'm glad I got rid of all of these stupid ideas, and now the next thing I write can be a serious thing, and the thing I actually want to write instead of this bullshit.
So we all good then?
Yeah.
We all good then. Okay. So welcome to the introductory awards. Now I've got a co-host coming along. I'm not gonna lie, the co-host might fade out of existence if it's not funny enough. That's me literally explaining the joke. Anyway, video games, politics, they shouldn't go together. I'm Simon Miller, filler, legally distinct from the Simon Miller brand, and I'm here to tell you why video games shouldn't be political, because I don't like it. And now I'm gonna say that Harry, representing Sega with his implied sex scene, that just won't fly. Women together, that's political. That won't fly in the year of our Lord 2000 and XX vague year. Harry, I'm afraid you're starting with one less award.
Oh no.
And by one less award, I mean one more award, because you have the power to reflect negative awards into positive awards.
Like Genji.
Okay. I'm going to take the next award. Thank you, Simon Filler. The Social Justice Warrior Agenda. Now, this award was about having a diverse, well-represented cast that could take issues about gender, about race, and like tell a good story exploring those ideas in a way that isn't like pandering, and isn't just like boilerplate. We've got this this race or whatever to fill this quota. It's about doing it well, and no one did that because we had 12 hours. And so I'm just going to give this award to Ethan and Harry because they mentioned the names of people of different like races and ethnicities, and that's all I'm taking what I can get at this point.
Didn't even know. Did I?
Yeah, Harry for having Amy the Hedgehog. Of course, the Hedgehog people,
Oh yeah.
They need more representation. Kim, I literally have no idea who Kim is, but I assume it's a woman.
She's from Better Call Saul.
Lynn. She, I hope it's a she. otherwise I have to change the first award. Lin-Manuel Miranda. That name sounds like it's not a white guy's name. If it is, don't correct me. You also have Femme Steve. So Steve, but the girl version. You have it. Congratulations on those. How many awards is this worth? One award. And Ethan,
I had an elf. What you're not repping elven culture.
I'm not gonna lie, because all of your characters were figments of your own imagination. They don't count. These characters are real.
The diverse cast of It Was Just Me.
So Ethan, you had Somali and Dan. The Somalians are underrepresented in the video game industry, and Dan as well. And you had William. You mentioned that he was black. Good. I think he's also gay. I think gay and black, that's a good combo, as seen in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
You say that, I got my inspiration from Moonlight.
I think there's. Oh, that's good. Well, oh man, this is becoming genuine, and I'm doing this full on piss take mode because you didn't do that great of a job. You just kind of slap some labels on there. You didn't really like, fair enough. I'm not expecting 12 years a slave out of a 12-hour writing competition, but you had others. I think you had. That feels like a wrong word to use in an award that's about diversity, but I think you had other people that were other races and genders. And
the Vietnamese character.
And I don't know their names. Vietnamese. Oh man, that's good. That's a good one. That's worth loads of points.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so that is 1 point for Ethan and Harry. Now, is the video game industry sexist? I was once in a presentation by a famed SJW leftist icon about is the video game industry sexist. And I was very glad I had the opportunity to go to that talk. Unfortunately, someone distracted the talk by asking if Mithril could be real, but that's a whole other debate. So, for is the video game industry sexist, the award for having a female protagonist goes to Ethan for Charlotte. Woo,
thanks.
Award. I think Charlotte is the main character. I'm honestly not.
She's the first person character. That's right.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You get that award. Now, the other one, the one that's to upset people, because it's not only is it political, it also is the only award that ends with a decimal. So your award total will forever end in an unneat fraction. And yes, there is no other award to counterbalance this. You will end up with an ugly 0.7 on the end of all your award totals forever. For the award, the wage gap isn't real, for having a male character as the protagonist. And this award goes to Jonno, for Jonno.
Wait, do I not have a protagonist?
You don't have a protagonist.
I have multiple protagonists.
You had like an anthology story, and I'm like, I can't give it to any one of them. Like
me.
I can't give it. I can't give it to
right.
both of them.
Harry, it's because your main character was the villain, so it can't be a protagonist.
I was saying, Tony, did you just assume my gender?
Well, yes, because gender is performative. Fucking out liberal. Anyway. Alright, Miller. Alright, so yeah, you've got those 0.7 awards. Miller, do you want to take the next awards? I will. Thanks. This award is for the worst game ever. Dark Souls. And being like Dark Souls. Frankly, I think this should get you negative 1,000 awards, but for some reason, it doesn't. It gets you 1 award. This award is going to 2 people. One for having a cyclical structure, meaning you have to read the book forever to beat it, and you can't have it as your favourite game. And the other is for having large doors, an abyss, and good level design. These awards go to Jonno for a cyclical structure, and Ethan.
Thank you.
Peace. So yeah, you thank Miller,
Yeah.
not me. And by Miller I mean filler.
I was going to say, yeah.
So 1 award each. Okay, for the Dark Souls award. I hope someone is keeping track.
I am keeping track, by the way.
Oh man.
I can even give you running
double
totals.
check my maths. I'm gonna be at the end like, and da-da has 2 points. And you'll be like, that's not right. I'll be like, oh fuck, one of us is wrong. And it's probably me. Okay, the award for having an intermission. Pretty self-explanatory. It was the only good part of 2001. Worth 1 award. To Ethan for having an intermission. Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, I literally have an intermission.
What? What? You didn't have a good enough intermission.
Yes, I
I'm sorry, Harry. It doesn't count.
Why
Literally
not?
blank. Literally 0 awards.
Harry did have an
Harry.
intermission.
I literally have an intermission and a protagonist.
I
but
literally
okay.
read your book today and it didn't have a good enough one.
The Hamilton stuff is literally titled Intermission.
It might have told me to take an intermission, but if it wasn't a
might
good
have
enough
told you
intermission, I
to
might have just
take a
kept
break.
reading.
Stretch and drink
Stop
water.
arguing with the award. It was given out, wasn't it?
Well, I guess that's the first one. I will say that the nature of intermissions is inherently subjective. So I am able to...
So now I have a chapter called Intermission Penalties. Which falls directly in the middle of... Can't you just give me the... Because I obviously have one.
You could make the argument as well with mine. Mine is just one like large intermission. You know, it's between one event and another event. And
No, do you know, I actually have one. I'm not just pulling this out of my heart.
Don't give in. Don't give in.
No, I know you're not.
All of these pretenders.
Let's come back to that.
I mean, I don't really mind, but I just like to point out that I do have an
see
intermission.
that, Simon. No problem, Tony. You numpty.
Even played Intermission by Bolero. Playlist.
Alright. So, for those of you that don't know, there was a massive technical difficulty with the large screens that were used to display all the trailers throughout people's presentations. Some technicians came on early and they said, guys, whatever you do, don't use the color green. If you do, it will cause the screens to malfunction and they'll flash like blue and orange all over the place. So whatever you do, don't do it. And of course, Harry gaining -1 awards for featuring the color green, used it for creepers and trees, etc. And of course, multiple seizures were induced in the Sega presentation hall.
We're just happy to be invited.
He definitely should not have featured said color green. And I will say that this was foretold on the ancient cask that contained Sega's corpse, that their deaths would follow their awakening. So, swings and roundabouts, you know. You kind of should have seen this coming. So yeah, congratulations on those 1 awards for those, for featuring the color green. Because you've reflected it. Man, it's almost as if that's like thematic, that you can reflect awards and your things. It's called reflections. It's pretty neat.
I have an interlude.
I can't believe it. We're like 5 awards in and I've already messed up.
Just give me a +1.
Could. Alright.
Oh, is he getting that one for intermission?
Alright, yeah, I'll put it in. I'll put that in. I'm sure I would have if I had noticed it as I was reading it.
What do you think the Hamilton chapter was?
Wait, what do you mean? Like, do you mean like what? I'm just gonna read it now. Alright, we're doing it live. You had what the fuck?
I'm pretty sure the chapter title is Intermission.
No, there's a chapter title called Interlude.
Interlude.
An interlude is not an intermission.
Yeah, it is. It's another word for intermission.
Alright, Harry, I'm fucking vetoing that award I just gave you, mate. That's not an intermission. That's a lewd and a mission.
It's got to be the real word, Harry.
The same thing.
Literally not the same word.
Yeah, but it's the same thing, Tony.
That's literally...
Oh, just keep going. This has already taken 40 minutes.
I'm gonna explode. 40 minutes? Oh my god. 4-0. Oh no, it's way too long. Alright, I'm gonna speed it up. Alright, needlessly impressive hair technology. So yeah, no one spent multiple £1 million developing hair rendering technology, or multiple paragraphs describing the subsurface scattering and dynamic cloud-based physics rendering used in hair. And so I don't think, even though Harry gave it a cursory mention, I don't think anyone really pushed hair to the next level to win this award. So it goes to Xbox, which no one was playing as. Alright, so that is the end of the introductory awards. And now we're to the upper lower tier awards, co-presented by Colin Ripman. Again, Ripman, legally distinct. I'll see if I can bother to use his voice at any point. Alright, so to start this one off, this is the Everything You Just Said Was Wrong award. And now, Harry, he put me in a tough spot with this award. He has the lovely quote, which is, "Trans rights are human rights, the Holocaust was bad, Ponyo is a 5 out of 10, these are all things Tony disagrees with, you goblin," in reference to Ben Shapiro, which is a great part of his story. But he also has some other lines. "Why keep rehashing the same idea? I'm not Marvel, and you can enjoy something whilst also holding it to an impossible standard. I'm gonna put all three of those forward, and then only give him the award for one of them.
God, just because you don't like Anita Sarkeesian. She said at the start of every episode, Tony. If only they listened.
Alright, where am I? So yeah, Harry gets one award for that, and I'm not telling him which one of those it is. So I can remain anonymous as an evil man, as a Ponyo Leica. Alright, this award, the Unionize Award. No one understood this award. No one. This award was for taking a breaks, right? And for getting up, stretching, and taking water into their lungs.
Oh god, no.
Wait, no, that's not what it is.
That's drowning, Tony.
Whoops. Alright. So yeah, this one was basically just an award. It doesn't affect the quality of your story. It was just to make sure that people, as they were writing, they didn't just go too hard, ball too hard on the grind, to write, and that people would actually be healthy and like stretch, as they were typing. No one did it. No one. I was in that for as long as everyone else.
Well, except you weren't. But you went off and then slept.
That was for 1 hour at the start of the thing. If you say, I got all my resting out of the first hour we did it.
You were also playing Dark Souls, so you weren't.
Yeah, but you weren't getting up and stretching and going to get water. That was what the award was. It was very clear. Now I'm gonna be nice to Ethan. And also because I gave an award to Harry earlier.
That you revoke.
Never mind. I'm not going to be nice to Ethan.
Just revoking the...
oh man, nice. It's all over the gaff. Alright, yeah, no one gets that award.
Yeah, so, I can live with that.
I was going to give it to Ethan, but because he did in multiple points say like, I might... no, he had multiple points in the story the characters take breaks and like drink water.
But
at first I thought it was a joke, yeah.
Well, to say, but then he was like disgusting with all those noises during the reading, so I feel it balances out.
Yeah, you're right. He gets one award and also minus one award, and they cancel each other out. Thank you, Jonno. So yeah, that's no awards for that award. All right, character named Dan. This is just going to Danielle and Jonno's story, and Somali and Dan and Ethan's story. Again, Harry did reference a Dan. He had like an off-screen Dan, as if he was aware of the omnipresent Dan that is always there listening to us. Remember to like and subscribe, smash that like button. But I don't think he had a full-on fleshed out version of Dan.
I don't think that was in the description. Let's just have a character called Dan.
I think it was have a character named Dan.
It doesn't say have a full-on fleshed out character called Dan. Have a character called Dan. I have a character called Dan.
You reference a Dan. You don't have a character though. He's not like Harry. What I'm looking for when I say character, I want like a Spider Dan Enter the Spider-Verse, version of Dan.
Okay.
That is like different. And you just throw in like, what up Dan? That's like a line. Like no, Jonno went all out. Ethan went all out with his Somalian Dan. They get one award each for those. So this is for you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This is just a very simple award. Have the line. Actually, she's 6,000 years old, officer. And Jonno and Harry used that. I just thought, man, as I was coming up with awards, wouldn't this be a really awkward line to try and insert into a story? And it just sounded funny to me at the time. So yeah, one award each for those two guys. Congratulations. All right. This is the Hard Bargain Award. This one was the award for just what's my specific wording? Because now we're rules lawyering all these awards, and I have to defend them, even though they're completely arbitrary. and I can just decide because I'm a god. Man, this has gone to my head. Alright, you drive a hard bargain. Validate the judge's opinion on something he already knows he's right on, which is everything, to be fair. Alright, so for the first one up is, for our reactions to art are purely emotional, the role of the critic is to rationalize an emotional response and to ask why. Harry, that's something that I was like, yeah, I'll agree with that. Good. Harry also gets this. He doesn't double dip on awards, but I'm just putting it in there as well. Thanos was right, says Tony. Harry, I'm like, yeah, he'll get that as well. He's double safe on that one.
Or did you know that was Tony Stark I was talking about?
No,
Plot twist.
that's Avengers 4. Mind blown. And the other one is, what I don't like is when my expectations are subverted for the sake of being subverted. What you don't do is lead someone along something they weren't expecting if there is no payoff. Don't subvert just for the hell of it. It serves no one and doesn't satisfy anyone. For Ethan, well done. So you both get one award each for that. I should, if I'm correct. Congratulations. All right. This is the flattery will get you nowhere award.
No.
And I'm glad I'm above that kind of thing of just sort of personally validating the judge. So no one sort of resorted to that. So no one attempted to do a Jonno on Ethan-esque paragraph about oh, this guy's great. I like being kept humble. All right. So that's just no awards for that one.
It's amused me after like your whole validate my opinions, but I don't. I just want to be humble.
He's understood the subtext. I've literally never heard anyone understand my subtext before. Maybe because I've never had it before. Anyway, the Best Use of Nonsense award. Our first exclusive award that only one person can win, because normally that's how awards work.
You have to do the bullshit Xbox exclusive world premiere.
Oh yeah, this is definitely an exclusive, but in a year it's going to come to PC anyway, so But anyway, for Best Use of Nonsense, worth 2 awards, is to Ethan for all that nonsense about memorizing a map which never comes up again. And not ending half your sentences. And also just having a whole wishing artifact thing. It's kind of a load of nonsense.
Thank you.
In a good way. Except, not ending half your sentences. That's kind of bad. But it's still the best use of nonsense. So? And also, starting your story with, the whole, I've memorized this map kind of thing. It's like a whole back and forth. And I'm like, this literally doesn't have a point. But it's kind of funny that it's being made a whole deal out of. And so I gave you the award for it.
Thanks very much.
Congratulations. That is 2 awards. Alright. Now, Best Use of Dog. This one is an easy victory for Canine Marks to Jonno.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, oh my god, I assume this to be a robot dog inspired by Karl Marx. Is that his name? Karl Marx?
Yeah, it is.
Good.
It is.
In a cyberpunk setting, that's like a pretty good thing, So he gets 3 awards for that because of his special Sony-based power.
Yeah. Got myself an exclusive.
Yeah, woo. So yeah, that's that. Now this is the award that I'm smugly giving out to the people who didn't believe in me. Who couldn't handle me at my best and didn't handle me and didn't deserve me at my worst. I think I got that the wrong way around.
Yeah.
So the I find your lack of faith disturbing award for believing that I couldn't get to Ornstein and Smo, when in fact I did, even though I used a massively overpowered sword, but I still did it. Still believed in the power of dreams and achieved. God, I should have brought Colin Ripman in here at some point. No, I'm fucking wrong pathway. There. So yeah, you underestimated my power, Harry and Jonno. And so Jonno, you get -1 award, I'm afraid. And Harry, he just gets 1 award because he's reflected the evil award. So, you know, that's fair. And of course, the Don't Try It Anakin award, no one gets that because I didn't lose. So yeah, now, Ethan, the Never Tell Me the Odds award, because you always believe in me. You were there since day one, along with Dan, you know, my 2 bros who knew I could do it. Who knew I could get one Mo while playing Dark Souls. Yeah, you got my back, dude. So, thanks, and you get 2 awards. So, congratulations. Alright, this one was very close. Where is it? The Old Dog New Tricks Award. And this one was one that I definitely almost gave to everyone, but then I was like, oh no, that's gonna be, I think it will be a bit too, like I to give an award to everyone does devalue the award, effectively, so I did only give it to 2 people in the end. And this award is just simply for writing something that's very different from what you've done before, and I had to give it to, first of all, to Ethan for attempting a more focused and shorter, non-comedy centered, like child-friendly story. That is 2 awards, and to Harry for relying less on memes and using more introspection and sort of personal, like, meta elements in his story. Sorry, John, I almost gave it to you, but you know, I didn't.
Damn.
Yeah.
I opened up you to my mind for nothing.
I know. It's just because I felt like, although you changed like the emotional tone, I feel like the way you led the audience, like it did feel familiar to like your first book, where it was like just following your attention kind of thing. Like, even though it's like you were just in a telling a story mood back then, whereas this was more of a personal mood. I think Ethan and Harry I think they pushed the bar a bit higher. IMO, but you know, no hard feelings. You know, I'm sorry. Don't hurt me. Okay. Where are we? All right. Thank you, Colin Rittman. You literally did nothing.
Did you even attempt the accent?
Your voice has been kind of over.
Did you even attempt the accent?
Huh?
So, sorry.
Ethan,
did you even attempt the accent?
I did do it once, but
Well, when you said wrong pathway.
I didn't have the energy for it. I did say wrong pathway. No, I will say goodbye, Colin Rippman. I couldn't use you. Your voice has been overdone, and frankly, isn't that funny. Fair enough. Fuck, am I being dumb? Have I missed one? I'm being dumb, Jonno.
Yeah, I think you haven't done that one. We've got this silent communication going on here.
I've missed an award. Colin Rippman, I need you back. I'm sorry. I promise I won't offend Black Mirror and call it out for being a TV series, and I don't watch TV series. Fair enough. The award for best use of excessive violence goes to Batman killing Thanos for Harry. Thank you, Colin Rippman. That is 2 awards, and thank you, Jonno, for reminding me that I missed that one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was yeah. Colin Rittman, he came in, he saved the day. Oh man, I can't believe it. So where were we? Old Dog, New Tricks. Harry and Ethan just got their 2 awards. Okay, this goes to the mid-tier awards. These ones are co-presented by Matthew McConaughey. For most of them, I tried to like change their names to be like legally distinct. For this, I just can't spell McConaughey.
I don't even think he can spell his own surname.
I tried Mook and then oh no, and then hey. So so he'll hopefully come in at some point. But the first one, just an award that goes to know people, which is, you know, my favourite kind of award because it reminds me of my favourite geography strategy of do nothing. And so it is, no one used the structure of their story to try and sell socialism to me, or was overly pretentious or half-assed about it. So well done. And I almost gave this award out, but, you know, I think you guys did a better job than trying to be Megamind. Even though two of the stories, right, Harry's and Jonno's, they both start at the beginning. Wait, no, they both end at the beginning technically, but I felt that they didn't do it in a bad way. They didn't follow the specific Megamind-esque structure. I could go into the whole minute physics video of how time travel works and explain why you don't get the Megamind award, but I'll just say that you don't get it. You don't get those negative points. Congratulations.
Damn it, I tried my hardest as well.
Well, yours was one where I was like, actually, it's not even a start at the end kind of thing. It's more of a collapsed time thing. It's more of like a flashed sideways kind of story. More of like a condensed thing rather than actually like being a loop.
Yeah.
Like if I'm
I just watched the Grand Budapest Hotel the week before. I was like, it's a good film. I like that film.
Okay. I believe this next award to be a tragic misstep in our evolution. Having a beginning, middle, and an end. It's unnecessary. We should be free, conscious thinkers, and also I'm bad at parties. So, for having 5 acts, which is close enough to having a beginning, middle, and an end, it goes to Jonno. Okay. And for having very clear aesthetic and narrative changes in the story as it follows its arc of a beginning, middle, and end, like Ponyo, the award goes to Ethan. And for having a vague and structural beginning, middle, and end, but I'll take what I can get, the award also goes to Harry. So that award goes to everyone.
Out of interest, Tony.
What would you call the middle of my book? Is it an interlude or an intermission?
I call it a middle.
Tony.
It's not an interlude.
Tony.
Okay, alright.
Out of interest, did you rewatch that clip of Matthew McConaughey? Because the part where you said, I'm bad at parties, I feel like I didn't show you that entire clip, so you must have gone back and rewatched it.
Well, I've watched it multiple times, like all of these voices, and by voices I mean co-hosts that are real. I have you know, studied their work to try and perfect it.
Is your next guest going to be Preston?
I mean, how would you ever get enough footage of him talking? He just walks off all the
Tony,
time.
That's true. You'll have to be Simon Amster reading from his wife's book.
We'll have him in at the very end of the video, and we'll just all walk off in his spirit.
Yeah, but someone's got to read the section from the autobiography, or the biography, don't they? For us all to walk off.
The photo shoot was for the Daily Mail.
Really messed up my hair.
Where are we? Okay.
Subplot.
Yeah. Have a beginning, middle, and end just to tell you all that is worth. I think 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what 3 awards.
You know, it's 1 for each act, so I should get 5.
Unfortunately, you only get, what is it, 3/5 per act.
That is one of those numbers put on top of the other.
It's been a very long time since I've done maths. Alright, for the love subplot no one asked for, this goes to Ethan for having Charlotte and Brian come together. And for a second when I didn't know Charlotte was a woman, I thought, oh man, this is some gay subtext. You know, I have to blank this from my mind. I have to get the Men in Black pen out and just stare at it. but no, I think that's disappointingly hetero. But at the same time, you know, it was a good subplot that no one asked for. So
Thank
you
you.
get the award for that. How many points does that work? That's 3 points. Man, you thought more people would have pandered to that one. Harry, you had more of a subplot, and I'm afraid that's too many degrees of separation. So you don't get those awards, unfortunately.
So, I'm sorry, Tony, that my own life doesn't include a love subplot.
That is discrimination on my part. That's a very childish mistake on my part. But what is it? The rule we had. I'm sorry, but if you want to add someone else into the mediate group, you have to get into a relationship. That's why we've been stuck at 4 members forever. All right, but Harry, you know what you do get instead of the subplot? You get the award for bad workers' conditions. So you get -3 awards for writing over 6,500 words because your presentation was off the backs of 8 years of overtime work from developers, which if anyone asks, they'll say is optional, but we all know the truth, don't we? So congratulations, Rockstar. So there you go. That is worth, what did I say?
-3.
-3. So you get 3. Okay. And this award that we said earlier on, is the award for best elevator pitch, which we mentioned at the beginning. But I'll just say again that Ethan's, yours was the most marketable out of all of them. Yours seemed like the safest bet for our angel investor, who, surprise, surprise, turned out to be Matthew McConaughey. It all comes back. It all loops around. The circle is complete.
Should have pitched in Mud too.
Human consciousness may have been a tragic misstep, but investing in your story was not. So thank you for that. And you get, again, 4 awards. How did it feel writing your story knowing that you were already in the early lead?
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely gave me the motivation to carry on and continue towards the end. It's just I still think it's a shame that I don't really have an end.
Apparently you do.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that because that's interesting. All right, so for my next trick, ooh, magic. You watching closely? There were 3 people writing this book. Numbers, so hard. One wrote 920. So this award, sorry, just to clarify, is "Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light," which is meant to be an award that was to spur writing in like the last act, sort of where the time was winding down. There was suddenly an award for whoever can write the most in this time period. They get a bonus to an award to sort of counteract the fact that we lose energy as we go on. And so, this one was pretty close, because although someone wrote 923 awards... Wait, am I done? No, that's fine. Someone wrote 923, and that was Ethan, unfortunately. So you're not in the running, but 2 people, one wrote 1,336 words in this time, and the other wrote 1,319. So a difference of 17 words across like 3 hours is what gave the award to Harry in the end. He increased his by the most.
I should have written out a longer poem.
It should have been percentage of book increased, because Jonno definitely would have won that one.
Yeah, because my book more than doubled, I think, in that period.
Fair enough. But unfortunately it was strictly linear. Maybe just double check that I've given the awards out correctly for that and I haven't been an idiot. Yeah, 3 awards for Harry. Great job all around. What did you think of that award? Did you all feel the pressure at that time?
I just wrote at the pace I was writing anyway.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's the thing, like that.
I mean, to be fair, your total is like 6,000, so
We did go for pizza as well.
Yeah, well, we delayed it for after that, though, so
Yeah, but yeah, because that was me like on proper like that's when I was just like, all right, random noir thing, whatever words come into my head, I am putting down on paper like the fastest I will write, and it was less than like Harry kind of taking it easy. He even like took a few breaks, Yeah, he stretched. He had some water.
Did he have an intermission?
I think he had an interlude.
That doesn't count, I'm afraid. Alright, so thank you, Matthew McConaughey, for helping us to present those awards. We're getting into the proper big boy awards, the high tier awards, co-presented by my good friend Stephen W. Learns, who will be manifested by me putting on sunglasses indoors. This will not show up in the audio, but I want you all to know, on my honour, that I have in fact done it. And it makes it hard to read.
And if you do one of those things where like you get the sound waves and then convert it to like an image file, you will see Tony just wearing sunglasses. That's.
Oh, I mean, is it me or is it my good friend Saddam? Yeah, the spirit of Burns. I mean, Learns lives on with me. All right. So for best line, there are a whole load of these contenders. I'm just going to list like a whole bunch of them, because although the award only goes to one person, who gets a whopping 5 awards. 5 awards. That's like the most awards so far, I think.
Yeah.
It can only go to one person, but there's a whole load that I just want to read out because, there was a lot of great ones in here. So, starting off with his oxymoronic face managing to bridge the gap between handsome and otter is one of the more impressive feats of mankind, from Jonno.
Yeah.
Well done. That was in contender.
Uh-huh.
And the next one, what can I say? I'm progressive. I also didn't assume their race, considering the fact you're black.
Thank you.
From Ethan. The next one, the only thing I can hope for is Dan. Sweet, sweet Somalian Dan. From Ethan. Next one, the fat fucking lady has sung. From Harry. The next one, man's reach really did exceed his imagination. It's been a while since I've seen real magic. From Chris Nolan.
Jonathan Nolan.
Takes credit from those... What?
Jonathan.
Oh my god. Well, the award goes to Chris Nolan anyway, because he made the film. And Chris Nolan is here to accept the contender for this award. But as Chris Nolan appears into this recording booth, he hands me a piece of paper, which I then slide through the Discord channel to Ethan for him to look at later. Okay, keep that in mind. You watching closely. Okay, the next one.
It was Chris Nolan busy at Eminem concerts? That's my question.
It'll all make sense at the end, definitely. A gooba gaba gaba gooba, indeed. Alright, next one. Joker also makes Batman watch the first 30 seconds of Persona, turning him gay. From Harry. And the next one, doing Immigrant Song in a Colin Rittman voice. From Harry. Which is very funny. But it was also very funny because it was referencing something that happened externally. So, measured into the awards for that one. And the next one is a Batman is never late or early. He arrives precisely when he means to, says Batman. From Harry. The last one, we are what they grow beyond. I'm running out of time. I don't want to go. From Harry. And so I think it's clear that Harry had the most best lines. And most best lines is a very weird award to quantify. But I think overall, I think I will give it to a Batman is never late or early. He arrives precisely when he means to. Because it's very funny. It's just two things together that are good.
It's Schrodinger's joke.
I know, but it's Schrodinger's joke. And that is 5 awards for Harry that I hope he has on the spreadsheet. He does. Good job. Good job.
I think Jonathan Nolan should have won personally. Or Ryan Johnson.
You mean Chris Nolan?
No.
Chris Nolan. Man, I'm all over the place. The C3 is a bit of a scam. It's a bit Game Awards too.
God, it's Fallout.
Alright, the next award for hot new memes from for this one is one where there were nominees as well as winners. So this award just have hot new memes, and hot new memes. The nominations are Somalian Dan and the whole thing about memorizing a map, because I have a feeling either one of those they could mean potential. And the other nomination is those are from Harry. The other nomination is from Harry with his Colin Rittman immigrant song, and so they both get 2 points, but the winner will instead get 4, and that is instead, not in addition to. And the winner is Harry for Colin Rittman immigrant song for the best hot new meme. All right, I'm ready for the next one. Is the at least 6 laughs award. So this is the general comedy one. Jonno and Harry, both their stories were nominated, and that is where is it? At least 6 laughs. 3 for nominating, 6 for winning. But Harry is the winner of the at least 6 laughs award. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm glad that my bullshit thing that I regurgitated came back to help me.
It's definitely funnier than The Graduate. That's it. The most comfiest award. The award for being comfy. The award for being like a bedtime story you could drink a mug of hot cocoa to and have snacks and give a 5 out of 10 to is the nominations are Jonno and Ethan. Where is it most comfy? 2 for nomination, 4 for winning, and the winner is Ethan. Congratulations on those 4 awards for winning. Alright, this is the Kirito is Always Right award. This is the award for best character arc type thing. So the nominations, Charlotte and William from Ethan's story. The other nomination is Jonno from Jonno's story.
I was wondering if I'd get an arc.
Yeah, I think it's less arc and more character exploration, but I still nominated it, and that is 2 awards for nominating, 4 for winning, and the winner for the Kirito is Always Right award goes to Jonno. Thank you.
Yay.
Congratulations. You have the most fully realized character arc of all of us. I'm just a 2D man here, hanging out with my sunglasses. I'm still wearing those, by the way, audio listeners. This joke provides no value. Okay, the next award is the Aesthetic Award, and this award does have spaces between each letter for the aesthetic of the award itself. It's very meta. So this is 2 for nominating, 4 for winning, and with Jonno and Ethan both nominated, and for the best overall aesthetic goes to Ethan.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Alright. This is the Big Anime Titties Award. This is the best character design. Sadly, there weren't any actual big-tittied anime characters, which, in my mind, I guess I could consider this E3 a complete failure in that regard, just a complete write-off for this year. But, you take what you can get. So the nominees for the Big Anime Titties Award is Harry for having Sonic, and also, he had a lot of other good characters in there as well that had good designs, and Jonno with his jacket guy in Cyberpunk World, and the winner getting... the nominees get 2 awards, and the winner gets 4, and the winner is Jonno. Congratulations.
Woo.
Now, arguably the most important award coming up is the award for having spirit. Who has spirit? The answer is Ethan. He was the only one with spirit. He gets the 3 awards for this award. Congratulations. Those spirited awards were near. Okay. Okay. Now the the iRobot for Light Novel Fans Award. This was an award about taking the cyberpunk genre and doing it in a way that could make it, relevant to modern audiences. Taking that aesthetic and really doing it in a way that kept the themes of what made it great in the 80s, but recontextualizing it for today, for 20XX. And the award goes to Jonno for the Golden Age of Islam. That...
was
3 awards.
Not what I was expecting to hear.
Yeah, just the Golden Age of Islam is just the cyberpunk world we've all been craving, and
that is an interesting.
You've got
idea,
it, Jonno.
Just cyberpunk, but what if it's all Islamic themed? Oh no, that's potentially an uncomfortable place to go.
Don't look an award show in the mouth.
Yeah.
Alright, so the next award for coolest thing. I'm not gonna lie. Like I thought coolest thing would have had more sharp competition, but I didn't see any big laser swords, didn't see any big guns. I didn't see any of the 2 cool things being big laser swords and also big guns, But I suppose I had to settle in the end. Give it, the award is worth 6, and in the end it goes to Jonno's Cyberpunk World. Congratulations, and you get 7 awards because it's your superpower to do that. Congratulations. All right, now we're getting into the Big Daddy Awards. The biggest of the Big Daddy Awards.
If you want, I can give you a rundown of what the scores are like at the moment, because
oh my god, that'd
quite
be
interesting.
Okay.
So
we'll do that. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's rumble.
So I'm in last at the moment with 33.7. And
that ugly 0.7. It'll haunt you for the rest of your life, Jonno.
Yeah, but what's kind of weird is that Harry and Ethan are both drawing on 37. So it's all 3s and 7s.
Ooh, those are our lucky numbers.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, so it's close at the top.
Okay. So let's go into the are you guys excited to find out who will win, or who the big jumbo awards are going to go to?
This has gone on for a very long time.
Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna hurry. Well, it's almost over, so you've got that to look forward to. All right.
It's always a great selling point for a podcast.
It's almost done. Thanks for sticking with us, Dan. I guess. Well, I probably scared him off with the Dan Award earlier. He's probably not even here. It's probably like, God, mediate. Should have stopped listening a long time ago. Okay, alright, enough. The award for looking like a solid 8 out of 10. This was an award you get 6 for being nominated for, and 8 for winning. And I will say all of your awards, all of your presentations, they did look like a solid 8 out of 10. So Ethan, Harry, and Jonno, they're all nominated. However, the one that was most like an 8 out of 10 was Jonno's. So congratulations on those 8 points. The other ones they were a bit too good, so they get less awards because that's how that award works. Okay, so we'll have to move to a courtroom for the next award, because it is best dialogue, and Aaron Sorkin. At this point, I would like to instruct our listeners to play the podcast at 2 times speed, and have Aaron Sorkin. He comes in and he describes who should win best dialogue. And then he looks to all of you 3, and then there's a flashback to one of you looking at a mirror. Sorry, looking out a mirror? Looking out of a window, and it's raining outside. And then there's another flashback in that flashback to a man inside of a room who says, "Hey, you may think this is actually live action, and that this is shot real, but actually this entire scene is constructed from a baby photo of Tony, and he's been digitally recreated to be in this room, handing out this award in this courtroom, in this what are they called again? Background, back flashes,
Flashbacks.
Flashback.
I've gone into flashback. It's the other way around. Classic. Anyway, the digital reconstruction of me hands the award for best dialogue, which is worth 6 points to Harry. Congratulations. Okay.
I didn't think I actually deserved that one.
Wow. you give it away if you want it.
I'll wait and see at the end.
Okay. Now this is the award for best setting, presented by George R.R. Martin, and he begins to describe which person should win the award at the end, but he only gets sevenths of the way through his epic book series describing who wins the award, and unfortunately it actually has his award giving out has to be adapted into a TV show before he can actually describe the ending of who wins the award. So, but unfortunately there are multiple endings of the thing recorded, so no one knows, and it's a whole mystery, it's a whole kerfuffle, until eventually in 40 years he does release Winds of Winter Part 8 or whatever it's called, and the award for best setting, sitting on the top of the Iron Throne, is Ethan with a whopping 7 points for best setting. Congratulations. You specifically won that with your description of the magical island.
Thank you.
At the start of page 3. I would have read it out if we had more time, but speed run. Okay, it is at this point where Chris Nolan appears on stage, and he says to the audience, "Hey, were you watching closely?" And he says, "Ethan, do you remember the letter you were given?"
Yes.
Ethan. You open the letter and realize that in fact you have won the award for best narrative. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For those 8 awards. And the award for Christian Bale, presented by Christian Bale, multi-rolling with several times, very fast back and forth to the point where he appears to be an entire crowd's worth of people. Just one of his many talents that he has picked up in pursuit of his acting career. He presents the award for best cast, and this award worth 8 points goes to Harry for his multiple Batman, Thanos, Captain America, himself, Amy, etc. He just had an all-around great all-star cast, which Christian Bale, hands you the award.
Star of the piece was Ben Shapiro.
Tony,
Shapiro.
you know
best
that
villain. Right?
no, you know that Chris Nolan. You know the fact that Chris Nolan's presenting the award for best narrative. When I go and collect my award, am I allowed to pick him up on that scene in Memento and ask him what he was thinking?
What the fuck, Chris?
I'm sure you could catch him off stage, but yeah. The final big load award presented by me, I realised that it is actually the most big-headed thing I've done so far, is to put me in this category with all these incredible people. I'm gonna do that ironically and assume that and assume that people don't actually think I would put myself on that level of talent. But nonetheless, me presenting best writing style worth 9 points to the I don't know, overall just this best sort of prose when it comes to writing. To Jonathan, congratulations. You get 10 points for that award. That's like the most points an award can give.
I love that. I'm still like almost basically another whole 10 behind everyone else.
Well, okay, I'm gonna take off my sunglasses now. I hope the microphone picked that up, otherwise it was all worthless. Thank you, Burns, for letting me channel your energy. And that is all the main awards. Now I'll just quickly wrap up the secret awards. Ethan, for using your Nintendo power, for being mostly child-friendly, I'm gonna give you 2 points. You didn't get the full 3. I'm sorry, you were a bit too violent. Because I honestly almost did consider you for best use of violence, and I was like, can't really be child-friendly in best use of violence. I think those two things do contradict. But you know, 2 out of the 3 points ain't bad. Alright, the next secret award. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Those characters were in danger, Harry. The next award, Did You Know That Wasn't Me? And Harry, he wins 1 extra point because the Joker says, Did you know that wasn't me? And it's just a meme. This is just a secret award that I've thrown in there because I feel like it had to be acknowledged in some way. Best formatting. Harry, again, someone who just used multiple fonts well in a way that I couldn't let that work be unrewarded, I guess. And so he's getting an extra point, you know, just thrown at him. And now there's this little game that, you know, I don't think has ever been referenced or mentioned before, and I hope one day I get the chance to talk about it because, you know, it's this little indie game. You know, I think more people need to play it, and it's the first time it's ever been mentioned award for talking about VA11 Hall A, which Jonno and Harry both get, and they both win 1 extra point. Jonno referenced it in vague terms in his Cyberpunk story, to the point where I'm not even sure if he actually did it consciously. But Harry definitely referenced it in concrete terms. So both an extra point. And so what does that put our total at, Jonno?
Ooh.
If my total is equal to, I hope my total is also good with yours.
Well, from my calculations, it looks very interesting.
Okay. Let's shoot. Let's go. Let's rumble.
All right. So I feel like I've lost. We know this. Okay. With 52.7.
Jonno, what's that?
Is my like total 52.7?
Okay, yeah, that is. Sorry, you just cut out for a second. Yeah, that's the same as my maths. And by maths, I mean Excel spreadsheet that adds a column together. You know,
yeah, so I'm the same
I'm not
here.
Smart. Okay, good.
I'll let you do whatever you want to do for the dramatic top 2.
Dramatic top 2. Well, I'm not gonna lie. By my maths, there should be a dead tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems that fate has put these two who were once enemies together as equals, and so they both have a very strong 60 points at the end of all of this, and I think that's a very respectable showing. But, you know, this being video games, you know, it's not like we can be reasonable and just like 2 things, you know. It's impossible.
We're gonna have to Thanos snap them.
Decide an arbitrary winner.
Harry, sorry, Tony, I mean.
And so,
if there is a tiebreaker, can it please not be like something like, oh, write another 100 words and then I'll judge?
I was considering springing for all the marbles. Whoever can write the best sentence right now wins.
Nah.
But that felt too ridiculous.
You might have a tiebreaker, but there are a few. Like, I think you can.
Well, I mean, I think I could defend most of them, including intermission, because, you know, intermission. Literally not the same.
Yeah, I know, but what I want to say is that Ethan should win best dialogue, which is one. I should have best intermission. Not best intermission, have an intermission, because I literally do. There are a few awards.
I'm
Can't
not
wait
gonna lie.
for best intermission to be a award for the next series.
I'm not gonna lie. There was always a ghost in the shell. Scarlett Johansson organising the numbers. So maybe it's all a scam, is what I'm saying, or maybe it isn't. But I think the fairest way is for me to just come in and decide the one that deserves to win. But congratulations to all parties involved. Did a very good, strong showing at E3. So this is the one of the penultimate award that I'm gonna give out, and it is the award for being wrong. Every word you just said was wrong. And I'm gonna give this award to myself. Tony, he has -1 award now because he was wrong, and I'm gonna tell you the story about Tony being wrong. So this is a little green text style story for you that I've made. So there's even an accompanying frog, image frog. Let me see if I can paste this. I can't. Literally can't. But just know that I'm looking at a frog here, and he's gonna tell you this story. So you ready?
You understand this is a audio. No, that's not the right word. This is an auditory experience.
Jonno, I'm not gonna lie, I literally don't understand that. I literally don't. So, be me, and I'm listening to the Passover / Spirited Near, and it specifically sets up a statement on not breaking the audience's expectations for no reason. And I'm thinking, I can agree with this, right? This is okay, validating Tony's opinions that he has. And then later, it sets up an ending where a character has a choice to make who to save, but the story cuts away before the decision is made. And at first, it seems unsatisfying, because you want to know who they picked, right? You want the immediate satisfaction of just, I had a mystery, but I want to know the answer. But oh well, it doesn't really matter. And so I think little of it. I move on. But later, be me, thinking about that ending. Realize that neither of the characters were fleshed out enough for a decision to have been meaningful. Like, it wouldn't have mattered either way. I didn't really know the two characters. It's not like it would have said much for the story to have arbitrarily picked one over the other. And realize that leaving the story ambiguous was actually the most interesting thing the story could have done, and it improves the story versus giving a concrete answer, because it gives you something to think about and consider on multiple viewings. My face when I've been completely called out for my short-sightedness and desire for immediate satisfaction when an unexpected twist was clearly used to great effect. The end was completely recontextualized by my own thought and effort after the story has ended. Realize maybe that many other things probably require this change in perspective to enjoy. That face when your third eye has been opened. My face when Ethan did this all under the guise of completely agreeing with my initial point. My face when I've been completely memed. Fucking video games. The end. And so, the final award, the winner, the award for the one that wins, worth 8 billion points, goes... or 1 point, I haven't decided. But either way, the winner, the one that wins, goes to Ethan. Congratulations.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining me on this journey. Ethan, what do you think? Come up to the stage. It's in your fursuit.
I can't believe that I've just heard you say that you don't mind the fact that there's no resolution in a story, because that to me is the very antithesis
Ethan,
of Tony.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Do you think if you went back and rewatched Old Boy, you might like it a bit more now?
Ethan, I genuinely am questioning everything I've ever said in my entire life because of Spirited Near. It's an existential crisis, and for that you've got £8 billion or 1 point.
I don't know what to say.
So yeah, was any of that intentional, or maybe I don't want to know, but was there a little like you thinking about that?
I mean, looking back now.
Also, hint: you should probably take.
Yeah. Well, looking back now, I did kind of think, what can I write that will completely revolutionise Tony? That was like my. No. I mean, Anyway, my deepest thanks to the Academy for this award. I don't want to weep all over the podium like I'm Gwyneth Paltrow. Just keep it short. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. And I don't know what we're doing next time we do this, but hopefully it means that I don't have to write anything. I could just take the Ouya.
The Ouya path. Well, I think E3 might not be coming back. I think it was a one and done kind of thing.
That was my trilogy, right?
Who knows?
You got Patrick Bateman, the prequel story. You got phone hacking. Yeah, they all come
connected. All right. So any last words from anyone else?
I'm meant to be at a pub quiz right now.
This format was a complete waste of time. We should never do this again.
Well, but just because I gave Ethan 8 billion points at the end.
Yeah, it should just
it's just because Harry didn't have an intermission.
It's just no. Well, now I have to go and put Harry literally not having an intermission in as a meme.
Yeah,
and that will totally change the maths of everything.
That's the thing, because like I don't like giving out awards, but if we're going to play by those rules, there were a few awards that I feel like you got wrong. Like I feel like Ethan's dialogue was better than mine. I did have an intermission.
It wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Even your dialogue was pretty shit to be honest.
Yeah, but at least he had that. All my dialogue was memes.
Yeah, but it was better.
No, I know it wasn't good.
Dialogue, you're going on about that map, Ethan. Like I know you won, but come on. Harry could like end his sentences.
Fuck's sake.
And like, all right, the whole point of the intermission thing, right, was I was just looking for a clear point where the story says like, "Hey, go take a break," like film style. And like, I don't think the interlude does that. Like, it might be an interlude.
It is completely unrelated to the rest of the thing.
Well, that's not what I just said, though.
I mean,
that's unrelated.
That's the thing. I mean, I feel like there were a lot of very unambiguous awards. Like, I feel like the fact that only 2 people could be nominated for some was quite, like, I don't feel that should have been a rule.
Well, the nomination one.
I don't know. I didn't like the format. I feel like the best book did win, and we shouldn't have spent an hour and a half doing this. It should have been 8 minutes. And I want to go to bed.
Alright, well, I'm sorry you think that. But,